If you've ever wanted to create a meme coin of yourself or somebody else, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Friday. We did make it to the end of the week, the first full week in some time. Made it to the end of it. A lot of news, a lot of stuff going on. It was actually a good week. SPY continuing to push higher here. New all-time highs set yesterday. Looks like we're, let's see, we're down slightly here, but we're still holding up near those highs. We do have a lot of news to go over here today. We also have a whole lot of movers early, so hopefully it's setting up for a good trading day. And of course, we have Mark Petrino today. So let's just go ahead and get rolling. Good morning and welcome back, folks. And as I said, happy Friday. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. We'll start off with Chris because it's not so great this morning. I'm short ALUR from 1416 and I'm getting absolutely crushed. Chris, I'm sorry to hear that. This thing is now $16. Looks like it hit a high of 18. We're definitely going to cover ALUR. That is one of the bigger movers here today. We do have some news on that, so we will cover that. Chris, Godspeed, brother. Hope you're able to make some more money off that. And also, good morning. Happy Friday. LOL. Paul, good morning. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi. Welcome back. Kayla, good to see you again. Welcome back. Prudenica, I probably pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, but I did my best. Good morning and welcome. We're happy you're here. Chuck in the street. Good morning, boss. How's the streets these on this morning? Hope you're doing well. Hustle and bustle. Welcome back. Getting ready to make some money before he goes and sells some houses. Love to hear it. Hustle and bustle. Let me know if you have any outlook here on the housing market. I know we're coming up here April, right? April to whatever June. That's your big season. Let me know what your outlook for that is. I'm curious. Bernhard, welcome back. Ed, let the fun begin. Indeed, brother. Welcome back. Good morning. Larry, good morning. White chocolate mocha. Okay, good. You're here. We can start. I was worried that we didn't have white chocolate mocha to start the day, but we do. So we're in good shape. Jim, good to see you again. Welcome back. Chris, Big Bees, welcome back, my man. Seniat, welcome back. Top of the morning. That's what my producer says to me. I absolutely love it. I'm waiting for him to have a leprechaun hat and tell me that. Never does, but maybe that's coming. Robert, good morning. How are you? How cold is it up there by you? Tom, good morning. How are you doing? Purgatory Park back in the house. Diggity risk. I like that. How about that SPY? How about that SPY? How about the SPY on Monday? Me saying, hey, I think the SPY's kind of bottomed here. And then we went vertical from there. One of my better calls, actually, 4 different swing trades open and closed during that period. So I made it work for me. How about that? Dow one, good morning. Second chance hiring fair. I'll tell you what, the YouTube handles get better and better on this show. I absolutely love it. Good morning. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Crimp Biscuit. Jonathan, good morning. Super Sean, top of the morning to y'all. Izzy, he's back. Izzy, you ready to absolutely withdraw money from Amazon and Uber today? I know you are. By the way, we'll talk a little bit about Lyft. I can't remember if this happened while we were on the show yesterday. I did mention it to the happy hour crew. Got a new swing trade going on Lyft. I'll cover that here in a sec. Robert and Hustle and Bustle. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. Let me go ahead and share my charts here for the SPY. We will talk about those levels. So how does it look, folks? How is your view from those new all-time highs that we are at here? Oh my goodness. This was the day that I was referring to, by the way, Monday, January 13th. The price action inside here today said, oh man, this sure feels like a bottom straight up. We've gone since then. We took out the downtrend line. We took out the 50-day moving average. And yesterday we took out those all-time highs. We've now set some new all-time highs. So the next question is, do we continue to push? Do we continue to trade up? What's going to be the catalyst to take us the next leg higher? Or do we actually kind of regress back to the mean? Is this the start of a sell-off? Do earnings kind of disappoint as we continue to truck through earnings season and inevitably send us lower? That's what we're going to watch for. And I want to hear from you where you folks think. We actually had a discussion yesterday on the happy hour about the sell-off that we all anticipate is coming. Not an end of the world sell-off, but just a kind of a correction to reset some of these valuations. Likely to happen sometime near the end of February or the beginning of March. Could coincide with the conclusion of Q1. I'd love to hear from you folks, what you think about that, what you think about this market and where we're at. New all-time highs here today. Things look great. Quick look around the board here. S&P futures down just over 0.1%, down 0.12% at the moment. Dow futures here down 0.21, and the NASDAQ here just about flat, down 0.06%. So, Izzy saying caution today. Okay, so I like that, right? We just set new all-time highs. Maybe you have some trades on that you're looking to maybe close or something like that. But caution today. I agree. I don't think today is the day to just load long and go crazy. I would exercise caution. I always kind of exercise caution ahead of the weekend anyway, to be quite honest with you. I often don't do a lot of trading on Friday, probably my least active day of the week. But if the setups are there, we'll do it. But we are going to heed that advice, Izzy. We are going to be careful. We're going to make sure that decisions we make today are not going to impact us next week. Good morning, Diamond Hotline, Guardian of the Galaxy. It's Stock Charts with a Z, so you know it's official. Good morning. CompuCare team. LOL. Good morning. All right. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the news stories here. First one we're going to talk about, I'm sure the producer will throw the links in the chat here. First one here, U.S. stocks set to open lower after the Bank of Japan rate hike. Analysts recommends overweight equities despite the negative market breadth. So I was just asking you folks, hey, what do you think about the market? When do you think we sell off? Do we sell off? I wanted to get your opinions here. This is saying despite the negative breadth, which is actually kind of turned around here recently, overweight equities. So I wanted to run through a couple of these things. First of all, the next story that we're going to talk about is the Bank of Japan raising interest rates. So we might as well highlight that here as well, as that's playing into what's going on. The Bank of Japan hiked interest rates from 0.5%, to 0.5% from 0.25%, the highest in 17 years since the 2008 GFC, global financial crisis. The market closed higher on Thursday, extending their winning streak. There were a couple of things that I wanted to go in here. Here we go. Our guy, Ryan Dietrich, some of the best stats out there. If you don't follow him on X, you really should. We'll help you here by putting some of his stats in the article itself. Ryan's tweet here, they tried to scare you with, quote, weak market breadth, end quote. Bad breath is scary, but anyway. Or higher interest rates, or a hawkish Fed, or Washington drama, or year of the snake. He's basically just kind of being a little facetious there, right? Etc. The bottom line, as we've been saying since November of 2022, this is a bull market, and stocks are the place to be overweight in your portfolio. Gives a nice little infographic there, counting the new highs. Again, yesterday, we just made our first one here in 2025. Now, remember, in 2024, we made 57 new highs in the SPY, or in the market. We'll see what we do here this year. Our first one was printed yesterday, so pretty good. January 23rd marks the day of that first printed new high. Dietrich also highlighted data since 1950, which is a pretty good sample size there, stating that post-election years could do better if it's a president's second term, which is exactly where we find ourselves here. Another nice little infographic there from Ryan. So real good stuff. Check this out. Again, I'd like to get your opinion. I want to try and expand this and get as many opinions from the group as possible. I know you guys have a lot of really kind of sharp ideas out there. You guys are constantly watching a bunch of different things. So would love to hear what you think about that. By the way, ALUR, Chris, it's coming back in. Hope you make it, brother. All right. So that is going to take care of that. And the Bank of Japan, again, raising their interest rates. They had cited Trump tariff uncertainties. And like I said, they hiked 0.25% there. The tariff uncertainties, Trump basically even told you that this was going to be used as a negotiating tool. And that's what's happening. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I think that there was probably a little bit of fear-mongering going on, to be quite honest with you. All right. Next story we're going to get to is an earnings winner here, and that is going to be ticker TWLO. This is Twilio. And look at this. You can see that Twilio has actually had pretty nice second half of 2024 and now beginning of 2025. This stock was basing for a while, really, right? So let's zoom back. So COVID sent this stock to the moon. Okay. After COVID, this stock really, really came back in. In fact, this was a hell of a short if you were able to pull that off. Now, we've been basing in Twilio since the end-ish of 2022. And then recently here in October, we really kind of broke out of this space, right? Pretty substantial move. I actually think some of our chat members were talking about this. This might have been a Jay Rice mention. Several folks in this chat were mentioning Twilio when it was making its big alpha move there. Once we got to December, we really kind of traded sideways a little bit, consolidated a little bit more, and now on this earnings print, higher we go. So Twilio shares trading higher in Thursday's after-hour session after the company reported preliminary financial results for the fourth quarter. Multiple analysts also raised their price target on the stock. So let's take a look here real quick. Twilio announces 11% revenue growth for Q4 2024, reports positive GAAP income, non-GAAP income exceeds guidance. Fiscal year 2024 free cash flow meets expectations. So they either meet or exceeded on a lot of the stuff that they had there. Twilio sees communication data TAM growing 11%. That's double digits to the upside to 119 billion by 2028. So that's also quite helpful there. Again, it looks like a pretty good report here in Twilio. It's not one that I follow regularly, but I am somewhat familiar with it because we've actually used Twilio here at Benzinga, full disclosure. I don't think we're using it anymore. I'd have to double check that, but we had for a while. We'd also mentioned that there were a bunch of other upgrades here this morning. And when I say that, I mean actual upgrades, not just price target readjustments. Baird upgrades Twilio to outperform, raises the price target to 160. There were a slew of other price target raises from other houses like Stifel, Piper, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, UBS, some of those big banks there. But there were also some upgrades as well. Twilio here responding positively, up 17% here today. I don't think anyone was trading this recently, but if you were, or if you were long in this yesterday, today is going to be a really good Friday for you. Robert here saying, I use Twilio also. Robert, do you like it? Yes, no? Let me know. Still lots of room to ramp, says Robert. And actually, that's a really good call. If you take a look at some of these long-term charts, I mean, we can pretty much just stay on the daily. You can see where this thing came down from. Absolutely, there's more room to ramp. I would actually think the next resistance area probably here between 147 and 148, excuse me, I would imagine is the next resistance level. We're currently at 133, so there's still some more room on this pop initially. We'll see what ends up going on here with Twilio, but that's what's going on. Nice preliminary guide there. Nice preliminary guide there. Okay. And you're also talking about Big B's. You're talking about American Express. We do have that on the list for earnings. Texas Instruments, CSX, Intuitive Surgical, Verizon, and AXP. We're going to take a look at, I'm sure. Let me keep rolling through some of the news here. Boeing. Oh, man, Boeing. Poor Boeing. Boeing stock falls on preliminary Q4 results. Boeing's shares drop pre-market as labor strikes expected to wipe $3.5 billion from the airplane maker's Q4 free cash flow. Buddy's here. Didn't even hear him come in here. Scared me a little bit there. Anyway, Boeing getting out of here. The big thing was the GAAP loss per share of $5.46. This was an estimated loss, I think, of like $1.20 or something like that. Just a massive, massive miss there. Excuse me. Here it is. The consensus was a loss of 166. The actual was a loss of 546 GAAP EPS per share. No bueno. No bueno. So Boeing here, the takeaway from this, though, Boeing really only down 1.2% here today. All right. 176 is what we're currently looking at. That's still above the 200-day. I'd be curious to see how this trades here today. No position for me, but given some of those, given some of that preliminary report there to only be down 1.2%, I feel like that's not terrible. I feel like this could be a lot worse. Izzy here saying Boeing dead money for a while. Sure feels like that. I really don't think the company's going anywhere, honestly, though. So we'll see. This is what's going on here with Boeing. We'll see if this even provides us a trade here today, which it might. All right, now it's time to talk Tesla, everybody's favorite stock, everybody's favorite guy here. I can't wait to talk about this and have all of the differing opinions go back and forth. LOL. Tesla lost $15 billion in brand value in 2024, report says. Did Elon Musk's political push hurt the EV giant. You know what? I think, producer, we should probably run a poll about this one. This seems to be a hot button issue. There seems to be people on the extremes of both sides of this one. All you have to do is turn on the TV, and you can see that is the case. So that might make for a pretty interesting poll here. Here's the actual article itself. Let's see. They're, of course, blaming his relationship with Trump, which is understandable. Tesla fell to 36th place in the 2025 rankings, down from 18th place in 2024. Electric vehicle company had a brand value of $43 billion for the 2025 rankings, down 26% from the $58.27 billion in 2024. So I'd like to know what you folks think. Does this matter? Certainly has not mattered to the stock. The stock has been ripping. It's still up considerably from the election. So I'd like to know. And I also like to know from shareholders. I know that there are certain reasons why I wouldn't buy a stock or use a product. And the CEO, depending on what it is, could play into that. So I'd like to get from you folks, do you like Teslas? And the interesting thing for me here is, while I really appreciate what Elon is doing, especially considering the saving free speech, that to me was the big one, more than anything else. I am not a fan of Tesla cars. I'm not a fan of EV cars to begin with. There are a couple that I like the Lucid, which has a stock that is just awful. I'm not a fan of Tesla cars. So this really doesn't change anything for me at all. But love to hear from the group. Would love to get some poll results on that. Okay, let's go back to another kind of a tongue-in-cheek. Maybe I shouldn't even joke about that, but we like to joke about the stock all the time. Nikola, ticker NKLA. Nikola eyes sale new partner as it risks running out of cash by the end of the first quarter. Well, who could have seen this happening? Who could have seen Nikola running out of cash? I feel like we're totally blindsided by this and surprised. Just kidding. It's Nikola. This is what, the truck that rolls downhill. I mean, we had said for a long time, we've actually been joking on this show now with some of these stocks that we just are just known garbage. And we talk about it all the time. I mean, this and Mullen really come to mind here first. So this is the news here with Nikola. I had a big move down yesterday. I don't think this is a bounce candidate. Maybe it will be. I'm certainly not going to play it. So not going to do it. Not going to play it here. Nikola, I guess the only thing I have left to say on this, good riddance once it's gone here. Curious to know if you folks are going to trade this. We'll see if we get a bounce or any type of volume in here. But Nikola running out of cash. All jokes aside here, the article does talk about them looking for new partners. And so it's quite possible that we do get some news about such and such company looking into partnering with Nikola or this and that. And yeah, that could cause the stock to pop. But if you get drawn into that, first of all, I'm going to avoid it. I can't really give you advice, but my advice to myself, which I can take and give, I'm just going to avoid that if that happens. If you end up playing that, just be honest with yourself. Know that could turn around in a hurry. Don't get yourself trapped. We've been covering this one for a while. There's nothing really new here going on. All right. Next story here is going to be Affirm, ticker AFRM. This is an odd one here. We've talked about this too. I am not a fan of buy now, pay later. I'm not a fan of it for myself, and I'm just not a fan of it in general. I know how this can end. But the stocks have been great, and we've traded Affirmed on this show. We've traded Sezzle on this show. I think we're expecting a Klarna IPO, which might actually make for a pretty decent trade here. So this is something we're going to keep our eye on here. Personal feelings on this or otherwise. The Wall Street Journal reporting Affirm Holdings to get $750 million in funding from Liberty Mutual. So that's a paywall Wall Street Journal article, but that's what's going on here. So $750 million in funding from Liberty Mutual here in Affirm. So we'll see what that does here for Affirm. Let me take a look inside and see what's going on. You can see we are up here, up just about 3 points from yesterday's close. So Affirm likely to be on deck here today. And we'll see if we get a trade from that. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, you guys, you gave tons of stuff here. Awesome. Oops, sorry about that. Joseph, obviously it did. He alienated 50% of the population. He makes decisions based on what he thinks is right, not what he thinks is going to pad his pocket. I would agree with that. Hustle and Bustle saying, I hear Ryan's sentiment about Tesla from many Trump supporters. The sentiment that they don't like the car. Which sentiment? Because again, like, I like him. I think he's really brilliant, but I just don't care for the car, and I feel like I'm in the minority on that. At least from the people that I talk to, they seem to really like Teslas. But let me know there. Get self-driving dialed and get my mother-in-law off the roads. Hard. So this is actually the interesting part, and we've talked a lot about this. I've actually had private conversations about this with other folks that are in different situations than myself. And this to me is really kind of the big mover, right? Like, how can people that either don't have driver's license, are too anxious to drive, don't like driving, or simply can't drive anymore because either physical impairment or just simply age? Full self-driving still allows these people to get around. And I think that's an interesting component here. And I'm just not sure how I square the calculus and what that's going to mean for the actual stock. This is something that I'm currently going over. But Guardian of the Galaxy, I know that you've made comments before that you pretty much only make troll comments in here. I don't know how accurate that is. What I will say is that this opinion that you're giving here, this is not a unique opinion. I've actually heard this from other people, especially some folks that live in highly populated areas like New York. There's going to be a point where my mother, I'm proud to say, she still drives. She still drives. She takes it slow when she's out there. And that's all well and good, but there will be a point where she won't be able to. And I would hope that if I can't help out, somebody can. And if it's a full self-driving vehicle, giddy up. That will help. So I understand that, and I'm looking a little bit more into that. Really quickly, that article did talk a little bit about SpaceX, hustle and bustle. SpaceX brand loyalty, or not brand loyalty, brand value actually went up. Oh, and that was the other thing regarding that article here on Tesla. The brand loyalty seemed to really sink mostly across Europe, which is unsurprising if you followed Musk and what he's trying to do just to kind of stir things up there with the government and some of the things that are going on. We don't need to get into that. That has nothing to do with our stock market. Just not even going to do it. But brand loyalty here in the United States, still very high. I believe that article quoted it as 90%, which means that those owners would still recommend it. Renee says, love my Tesla. Elon needs to be put in the trunk. That's actually pretty funny. They don't really sell many. Oh, that was for Nicola. I'm not a fan of Tesla drivers. Okay, shots fired there. Okay. Oh, man, you guys gave me so much here. So much here. Elon is the Jerry Jones of Tesla. That might be a top comment there. For those of you that don't follow football, Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he likes to meddle in everything, good or bad. So, okay. So there you go. I'd be curious to know what that poll results are. I think we're going to run a couple of polls here today, producers. You might be busy. All right. Let's also, of course, talk crypto, right? Why not? Let me actually pull up my crypto chart here real quick. We'll talk about this. Bitcoin, Ethereum rise, Dogecoin dips amid pro-crypto announcement from Trump. Top traders set sights on 500,000 Bitcoin target and 20,000 for Ethereum. Okay, now, the one thing that I want to mention here is the article. Couple of things here that we've talked a lot about this, and we've talked a lot about Bitcoin, and I know that there's opinions on Bitcoin that are all over the map, and that's great. Okay, that's totally fine. But here's the thing. The morning rally that Bitcoin did see when this was announced was triggered by speculation of an executive order to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Eventually, Trump signed an order that will evaluate the creation of a strategic national digital asset stockpile. Now, from what I've gathered from listening and reading into this is they're basically just going to hoard the Bitcoin or crypto that they seize from other means. I guess like the shutting down of Silk Road or something like that. Whenever they seize Bitcoin, they're actually just going to hoard it now. They're going to hodl. Previous to this, I believe that what they would do is they would sell it. And now it looks like they're going to hoard it. So the thing here, the thing about this is that this is definitely good, but this is not what the big time crypto bro bulls were looking for. The thing that's really going to set Bitcoin off is if they announce that the governments are going to start buying and adding this to the treasury. That's going to change things. That's the big one. That's not what this announcement was about, at least as far as I can gather. So definitely positive, but it's not the big boom moment that I know a lot of folks were waiting for. So keep your eyes on that. Keep your eyes on the crypto market. I know a lot of you folks do. I'm actually starting to get a little bit more into crypto in terms of diversifying it and converting more fiat to crypto. We look to do that here, especially on the next pullback of Bitcoin, if we get one. But that's what's going on here. Again, I highly recommend that you go through this article, especially if you're interested in Bitcoin at all. A side note here for Bitcoin, I actually this morning saw the story that someone created a Sorkin coin. The backstory here is literally yesterday, Sorkin was talking to Larry Fink about creating a possible coin. And Larry Fink joked that they should create a Sorkin coin. And somebody went ahead and did that. It's completely unofficial. This is not a recommendation. It's just it's kind of a laugh. And they talked about it a little bit on CNBC, which I guess you could make the argument was an inadvertent pump of that coin. But nonetheless here, just as kind of a side note on some of the Bitcoin stuff. Okay, folks, Friday. It's a happy Friday. As always, all Fridays are good, aren't they? It's a happy Friday. And it is 8:30 or just about, which means it is time for our special guest, Mark Petrino. Folks, put your hands together. Let's bring him on. Mark, happy Friday. How are you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. We got to come up with like a really kind of clever nickname for your segment that we're doing weekly here. What do you think of Mark to Market?
Okay, works for me.
Okay, easy. We came up with something real quick there. So, all right, Mark, I know you've been doing great here with recent stocks of the day. What do you got for us today? And do you want to share your screen, or would you like me to drive for you?
I'll share.
All right, let me go ahead and throw that up here. Boom. All right, what do you got for us today, Mark?
All right, well, I haven't written this yet, but I'm considering doing this for my article today. Basically, I do a stock every day, and my main gist is to kind of be like a teacher, have it be like a teaching article that someone could potentially get some trading ideas out of. So I was looking at this Electronic Arts, and this thing really caught my eye, and had this massive sell-off yesterday. And notice how at least for now, the sell-off has stopped. It's pretty much unchanged in the pre-market. Now, it's not a coincidence that this is where the stock found support. Stocks tend to find support at price levels that had been support or resistance before. If we go back here to September of 23 and August of 23, you can see support is at the same level. I mean, it's like within, it's like to within $1 of it, right? So this isn't a coincidence. If we go
actually, Mark, sorry for interrupting here, but I believe if you go back even a little bit further, this was also a previous resistance area.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, we can even take this back a little bit farther, right? So here we get support. This is an example of where support becomes resistance, right? Because people buy, and when the price goes lower, they say they want to get out, but only if they can do so at break even. So when it gets back to their level, they place sell orders. And if there's enough remorseful buyers placing sell orders, the support can convert into resistance. Now we have a different phenomenon here where the support can stay intact for an extended period of time because this is because of, I just want to make this easier to say here, because of seller's remorse. People sell right here and it's at the very bottom, and then the stock blasts off and they regret selling. So they say, I made a mistake. If I can buy my shares back, I'm going to, do so if I can get them at the same price I sold them at. So when the stock returns to that level, remorseful sellers placing buy orders can keep the support intact. Even here, you could see, which I hadn't even noticed this, but now here's an example of the level that was resistance becoming support. This is seller's remorse manifested in a different way. People sell, and at first they thought they did the right thing, but then when the price goes higher, a lot of them say I made a mistake, so I'm going to buy my shares back if I can at break even, or at the same price I sold them at, I should say. So when it gets back to there, if you have enough remorseful sellers placing buy orders, the level that was resistance can become support. So right here, we can see, this is very common. This could be on any chart, because when you look at a chart, all you're looking at, don't think about looking at the stock. Don't think about looking at electronic arts. Think about it in the context of what are the people who are trading this thinking? Like, what are they doing? So support can remain support, and resistance can turn into support. And as we saw back here, a level that was support can become resistance because of buyer's remorse. Now, this is an interesting thing here too, right? We gap down or we have a really fast move down. When that happens, you blow through these price levels so quickly, you don't have enough time for there to be this like big concentration of buyers trying to buy who are going to be trying to sell on the way back up. So after some time consolidating, when you get to these same price levels going in the opposite direction, there's not a lot of sellers around. So the buyers are forced to bid higher prices and outbid each other. So if you get fast move or gap through price levels going one way, and then you return to those levels going in the opposite direction, you tend to make a fast move. And you can see it here. One of the main reasons why we get support is remorseful sellers trying to buy shares back. If you rip through price levels really quickly like this, there's not a lot of time for there to be this large concentration of sellers who are going to be trying to buy back on the way down. And then again here, fast move up. So another common thing, which I wasn't even going to talk about until I just saw it there. So let's move up into the present. So you get this big sell-off, and where does it end, right? The price level that had been support before. What also catches my attention here, which makes it kind of, really makes it kind of stick out, is look how much volume traded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. If we go back, it was kind of close there, but we got to go all the way back to 2019 until we had a day with that much volume. Now, what does this mean? Well, this is what we sometimes call I should say it could be, because who knows, this thing could keep going down. But what happens is the people that want to sell are waiting for it to get a better price, right? They're just watching it go lower. Now, like say I was back in my institutional days and I was handling a big order. Say I had 100,000 shares of this to sell, and I got the order when it was around 150. And it's like, all right, well, I'll sell 10,000 here, or hypothetically, this is something that could happen. I'll sell 10,000 at 150. I got 90 left. I'll wait to see if I get a bounce, so I get a better price. But you don't get that bounce, and it goes down to say 145, and it's like, oh, all right, I'll sell another 10,000. So now you're done on 20. You leave 80. You wait for it to come up, but it doesn't, and it keeps going down. Then you sell another 10. Finally, you get so sick of it and say, you know what? I leave 70,000 shares. I'm going to just tell my broker, just sell these things at any price. I don't care. Make it go away is a very common expression in the trading world. So you get all these people just dumping their shares, which results in these massive amounts of volume trading. Now, if it turns out that the news wasn't as bad as people initially thought and buyers start coming into the market, what's going to happen? They're going to have a hard time finding someone to buy the shares from because the sellers threw in the towel. The sellers are all gone. The sellers sold and now they're out of the market. So in order to draw sellers back in, the buyers are going to need to pay premiums and outbid each other. So when you gap down, like we just saw, if you get a fast move going down one way and you return to those price levels going the other way, you could get a fast move right back through them. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a trade yet. I would say that this stock is what we call setup. In other words, we're at the race, we're at the starters line, and the starters like, on your mark, get ready, get set, but they haven't said go yet. Now, what could be a go signal or a go trigger? Well, probably the way I would trade this, and at full disclosure, I'm not. It's hard for me to trade because I got to get all these compliance approvals for different things I got involved in. But maybe a trigger could be, all right, if the RSI line starts to head north, that's when I jump in. If you're a little bit more conservative, you could say, all right, if the RSI line gets back above this red line, that's where I jump in. Because just because something is oversold and at support, it doesn't mean it can't keep going down.
Mm.
So what we do is we just sacrifice a couple of points and say, hey, I'm not going to get the exact bottom here. Maybe I buy it if it's up $2 or $3 from where it is, and I don't care because this is not about being exact. It's about making money. And you have your trigger, so you're not guessing. In every, well, not every, but in a lot of trading models, you have your, your setup and then your trigger. And of course, you got to have your exit strategy too, which would be, all right, say this does get up to say 121 and the RSI starts to head up, and that's where we jump in and buy it. You could say, all right, well, I'm in. My target's going to be up here around 140 because I know things can move rapidly through areas that there were gaps. But my target for a loss is going to be if this thing drops back down to say 118 where it is now. I'm just going to say, you know what, maybe it's not time yet. I'm going to just take a small loss. I'm not going to take it off my radar screen. But whenever you get into something, you should know how you're going to get out of it. I mean, that sounds very elementary, but a lot of people don't really think about it. So you got your strategy for a loss, your strategy for your target profit, and then you put in some kind of trailing stop if it starts going higher. For instance, say we start to trend up. You could say, all right, we're up to 125, we're up to 127. I'm going to put in this uptrend line, and if EA crosses the uptrend line, I'm going to just take my profits there. I'm going to get stopped out for a profit. That's one of the great things about using stop outs is you could be wrong and you could still make money. In other words, you could say, all right, well, I think it's going to get to 140. I think this gap is going to refill. But maybe it just gets to 130 and then it crosses and it goes back down. Well, you were wrong because it didn't go to 140, but you still made money on the trade because you got out around 130. So exit for your profit, your target, initial stop out plan, and then trailing stop plan. Some people use points. If it reverses by 2 points, that's when I get out. People use percentages. If it reverses by 2%, that's when I get out. Some people use the trend line. It doesn't really matter. You got to figure out what kind of works for you and fits your personality. So I think this is a pretty interesting stock right now. And I mean, when things get to these important price levels, they tend not to hang out there too long. Maybe a day or 2 or 3 or 4, but I would be very surprised at this time next week if this stock is trading around $118. It's either going to be significant, meaningfully lower or meaningfully higher. So another strategy you could have is if you're an options trader, you look at this strategy where you'd buy calls and puts, right? The collar or
butterfly, which I believe we actually did on EA here. Mark, this is really good stuff there. We talk all the time here. First of all, I love the lesson there on placing trailing stops. We talk all the time on this show about trying to raise your stops when the trade starts working in your direction. So like you just said, even if you're wrong, you can actually still make money on it. The one follow-up question that I had for you is, does the type of catalyst that drives the price to these levels, does that matter at all in your calculus? Like, for example, here, and let's just use EA as the example. They reported preliminary revenue numbers and guidance numbers, and they were horrific. And this is why the stock sold off. So does that catalyst, the reason for the fast move up or down, does that matter at all? Or are you strictly playing off the chart?
Well, I would say I pretty much strictly play off the chart. But as always, there's a caveat. Like, for example, say right. So we in the accounting world, we have GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, and non-GAAP. Okay. Now, let me just put it this way, right? Let's just say you own a company and you had a factory and it burned down and it cost you $10 million. Well, your accountant could say, well, our GAAP earnings are going to show that loss of $10 million, but in our non-GAAP, we're not going to have that there because it's a one-time thing. We don't think it's ever going to happen again. So if a company reports numbers and they seem really good and the stock rallies on it, and you look through it and it's like, wait a second, these numbers that are really good are the non-GAAP numbers. The companies, for lack of a better term, the numbers the company made up, other than the actual GAAP numbers. So sometimes when that happens, something will blast off in the morning. And then when you look a little bit more into it, it's like, wait a second, these numbers are not nearly as good as people first thought. And you get those reversals, and they generally tend to happen around like say 10 or 11 in the morning, because the way it works on Wall Street, at least most of the firms I've been in, the traders get in really early, 6:30 or 7. The analysts come in around 8 or 8:30. And if there's a story out, the analysts got to like sit down and they got to talk about it and go through their models and this, that, and the other thing. And by the time they decide, like, wait a second, we're going to sell or we're going to buy, it's like, guess what? It's like 10 or 11 in the morning. So that's just a kind of a way to trade earnings there. But, I don't know, Ryan. I tell people, like, if I was on a desert island and I had my charts and I didn't have the news, I really don't know how much different my analysis would be.
Yeah. Yeah, you told us that yesterday. The only reason I bring that up is because I actually happen to be familiar with Electronic Arts, and some of the news out of the preliminary Q3 results were that the two of their video game franchises that they sell are doing poorly recently. And so then I'm wondering, the way I think about that is I think, well, what does that mean for the next quarter ahead? And where's the stock likely to go, right? The Wayne Gretzky principle of skating to where the puck's going to be, not where it is right now. And so I start thinking about that, and then that affects my decision when I'm looking at a chart. I mean, I'm looking at this chart right here. This to me is super easy when I look at the chart. If it holds this area, yeah, we're probably going to bounce and try and fill that gap.
Yeah, and now me just being the trader, I have a very, just because of the nature of what I did when I was in the institutional world, it was my job to execute trades. And generally, when the portfolio managers and the analysts decide we want to buy something here, we want to buy something there, they kind of want to get right in and do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to miss out. So you just kind of try to buy where. So, and I did mostly small cap and micro cap. And when you do micro cap and small cap, you really need to know where the levels are. I mean, if you're not trying to time the market, anyone could trade Apple. But if you're trading, if you need to buy, 20,000 shares of a stock that only trades 10,000 shares a day, well, that can get really tricky. And that's where you bring in your different algorithms or relationships, knowing people at different firms. Because if you're on the buy side, if you're at a hedge fund or a mutual fund or an institutional money manager, just like a retail investor, you have to trade through a broker. So a lot of times it's a big hide and go seek game, because if you're the hedge fund trader, you got to trade with a broker dealer, and you're going to be dealing with someone called a sales trader. Generally, at broker dealers, you have what we call sales traders, and we have market makers or position traders. The sales traders are the ones that talk to the clients. The market makers are the ones who do the trade execution. So just say at Goldman Sachs, they have a team of, I don't know, technology market makers that are trading EA. So that's their specialty. Maybe they just trade one industry or one sector. So any order that goes there goes over to the market makers that trade the stock. So the sales trader kind of has to be the go-between between you and the market maker. And because we're each in a position where we could hurt each other. And it's not illegal, but let's just say I got an order to buy 1 million shares of a stock that doesn't trade that well. And I get a call from my broker, Goldman. Hey, you doing anything on XYZ? No, not seeing anything. Okay, well, we're a big buyer over here, so let me know if you see anything. And they're like, oh boy, there's another buyer in the market. I better call the broker that I had the order at, Morgan Stanley. Hey man, why don't you guys get more aggressive? All right, there's something going on here. So you're in a position where you can hurt them and they can hurt you. And now I'm off on a tangent. But when it comes to algorithms, people don't really understand what algorithms are. All they are is a computer program. Every trade that's executed now is executed by an algorithm. If you send your order over to, Interactive Brokers, guess what? It goes into one of their algorithms, which probably goes into their dark pools. All the dark pool is a private exchange. And the dark pool is kind of a funny thing, because when they brought them out first in the early 2000s, they were run by brokers. They were exchanges. And the brokers would come to you, Goldman Sachs would come to a guy like me and say, hey, listen, you should trade through our dark pool. It's the greatest thing in the world. And no one could see the trading. That's why the name dark came. But that turns out that was a fallacy. Every trade needs to be reported. Now here, as we've evolved 20 years later, I think a lot of people, when they hear the term dark pool, they equate it with something that's like, ominous or evil or something. But, a dark pool is neither good nor bad. It's just an exchange.
Yeah, it reminds me of kind of like the dark web, right? Like it's the similar type of view there. Real quick, first of all, quantum. Nice to see you around. How have you been doing with the quantum stocks? As kind of an aside, Mark. Before we let you go here, had another stock that has kind of a similar example to EA here, and I'm just wondering if we can kind of take a look at that. The chat brought it up here too. It's ticker EIX, and this is going to be Edison International, which is the parent company of Southern California Edison, the power company out there in California. And they're obviously in the news because of all the fires and stuff going on out there. So we had a similar type drop here. And I'm just wondering if you see this similar type. Oh, okay. That's right. We did do this one last week. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that.
I think that I like this chart because this is a great example of what we call market memory. We can look here, right? And when people talk about market memory, that refers to the fact that a price level that is important can stay important for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This $55 level first became important back in October of 20. Then March of 21, August of 21, October of 22, January of 25. And, we had the big volume. I don't know if it would be a capitulation, but extremely oversold. But I think that this chart is a really good illustration of this concept of something that's important can stay important for weeks, months, and as we see here, even years. And it's kind of hard to fathom, but the charts don't lie.
No, indeed they don't. Okay, Mark, really good stuff yet again. EA, stock of the day. Really good lesson there again on buyers and sellers. So, all right, Mark, do me a favor. Have yourself a great weekend. Are you going to watch any of the football games?
Yeah, of course. All I'm saying is, I'm just anti Chiefs.
Me too. Me too, brother. I'm with you on that. Anyone, let's go Bills. All right, Mark, have a great weekend. Look forward to catching up with you next Friday for the next stock of the day.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care. That is Mark Petrino, folks. Awesome stuff from him all of the time. And we look to continue to keep doing that here. So real good stuff there. Thank you, Mark. All right. Mark's departure leaves room for 13. Let's go ahead and bring him on, see how he's doing. 13. Happy Friday.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was starting to get irritated because I started seeing the same thing on that I got before the mic issue started happening. So I was like, here we go again. And I
saw you shaking your head, and I the first thing you said, I heard it right away. So it looks like you're good.
Good. Okay. Well, that's a relief. All right. Well, let's get back down to business then. That was Mark to Market. So
yep. And I asked him, I said, we got to come up with a clever nickname for your segment. How about Mark to Market? He goes, yeah, sure. So that's done. That was easy.
All right, easy. Oh, yeah.
No problem. Okay, 13. I went through some of the news here this morning. Then we went through Mark's stock of the day, which was on EA. We do have some earnings to cover if you want. And we also have a whole bunch of movers here today as well. So where do you want to start?
No. Where do you want to start?
I think we should probably start with some of the earnings reports that we got last night, like for Texas Instruments.
Okay.
I have the earnings reports that I have that I think we should discuss here. TXN, excuse me, CSX, ISRG, AXP, and VZ Verizon. Stay focused. Good morning. Down with the Swifties. He heard the tail end of that anti-Chiefs football weekend here. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm getting distracted here because it's Friday and we're close to playoff football. But I think we should start with these. Let's start here with Texas Instruments. First of all, if I recall correctly, this was one that you are in and out of, or you have invested?
Oh, in the past, yeah.
Yeah, straighten me out with this one. What's your thoughts here, Texas Instruments? I think the big thing for me, I'll start here. The big thing for me recently, just kind of looking at the chart, we had actually some pretty good action here recently, right? We recaptured the 200-day. It sure looked like we were going to push away, and this report now sinks us right back beneath that. So curious to know, what do you think here, Texas Instruments, ticker TXN?
Well, this isn't a cutting-edge semiconductor company like NVIDIA or Broadcom. This is more on the legacy analog side, which we still need a lot of. We still use a lot of old things, so they have a place. But one of the big thing from this earnings report with TXN here is that they guided much lower than expected. I say much lower. I don't think it was too much lower, but it was not within the range that they were looking for, especially with the EPS. So that's why we're seeing this trade down today. It doesn't seem like we're going to be getting that upside that investors were hoping for. Not getting the revenue, not getting the margin. So looks like it's just going to we could explore where this could fall to. If you want to do that, but
yeah, and while I was doing that, I was just taking a quick look here this morning. Price target raised to 220 from 215 at Bank of America. That actually feels like a defense. Barclays here, price lowered to 180 from 220. Benchmark reiterates buy on Texas. That is a defense. Maintains the 230 price target. So interesting. There, it looks like there are still the price targets kind of vary. It looks like Morgan Stanley. Price target lowered to 165 from 167. So it looks like there's varying levels here from what the analysts think. So, all right. Looks to me. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. But with that earnings report, we are guaranteed to have this death cross occur. And that's the 50-day SMA crossing the 200-day SMA to the downside. In the process of losing both those moving averages, we also lost the 20. So that's not good.
Yeah.
That implies that we could see a lot more downside. We even may, if we're talking that price target, I think you said that JP Morgan gave, that's beneath the 500. That actually fills the gap that was created from back in April from the 22nd to 23rd.
All right. So one of these downside targets really quickly, I just drew one of the trend line. We've been drawing these on a lot of the different stocks that we've been taking a look at. Trend line here from the low of December 20th through the bottom candle or the wicks of the bottom candles there. This gives me a target here, 188. We're currently at 190.90. So I wouldn't be surprised if we test this downside trend line before trying to turn around, maybe even recapture that 20 that you just spoke about.
That would be the best case scenario, but looking at that trend line, I think that's we're going to lose that.
Okay. So that'll be something to watch here on TXN. Okay, really quickly here, the next stock that we'll talk about is going to be CSX. This is CXX Corp. This year, CSX Q4 2024 adjusted EPS of 42 cents. That was in line. Sales 3.54, missed the 3.56 billion estimate. Stock's down here about 4%. Looks like it tried to go right to those conglomerate of moving averages. Really couldn't push above it. The earnings report obviously not helping. Also, Baird cut its price target on the stock from 39 to 38. So CXS looks like kind of a poor earnings report here, or not great. And lower we go. You have anything on this one?
How did they guide? That's always going to be the thing I look for first, is where they expect earnings to be going forward, or they anticipate it to be. And I don't see guidance unless I'm blind, which is possible.
Well, you know what else is possible? It's possible that they don't report guidance anymore. Let's see.
That's probably true.
They have not reported guidance since 2019. This is very similar to Apple in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the sales miss isn't great. It's not too big of a miss, and EPS is in line, but there's probably like some kind of magic number that investors were looking for, and it's not meeting that. So it's coming down. Let's see where we could. So the Bear is saying 39, 38. That's a cut on the price target, right?
Here's Baird 39,238. Yes, that was a lowering of the price target.
So prior to this earnings, they were expecting it to go higher.
Yep.
A lot higher, because we've been in the 30s. We're trying to recover off this. Well, this looks like a pretty awful looking bear flag. Looks like it tried to do a W-shaped recovery, and it did manage to trade it back above the 200. But here we are getting slapped back down. Not only that, but beneath all the other moving averages. That's not what you want to see when you're looking for more upside, is to see the price get slapped down beneath all these strong moving averages.
By the way, Barclays also cut. They went from 40 to 38 as well. Okay, next stock here to take a look at that reported earnings, Intuitive Surgical, ticker ISRG. Now, we talked recently on Happy Hour and on this show about medical devices, maybe being another theme here. Taking a look at ISRG's daily chart here, yeah, this thing has been just gangbusters. This has been an awesome awesome move. And we recently here had another move higher. Now we're down $14.50 here today, 2.38%. Intuitive Surgical Q4 2024 adjusted EPS 221 beat the 179 estimate. Sales 2.41 billion beat the 2.5 billion estimate. So again, beat on the top and the bottom line here. Stock going lower. Let me see here if they did guide. Intuitive Surgical sees FY25 procedure growth 13 to 16%. So that's good. They're going to see the number of procedures growing. That would be good for the medical device theme that we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
But
they anticipate that adjusted gross profit margin to be 67 to 68% of net revenue, 69 prior year. So you see how it's run. It's had a really good run actually, and now we're pretty overbought with this. So to see that revenue's starting to contract a bit, or net revenue is, that's a good time for this to turn around and cool off. Now this could continue to do really well following some kind of corrective move. Might be a big corrective move though. We could see this go. Gosh, I mean, let's just say that comes back in from these highs. The first area of support is going to be just above 550. But I don't even know that we'll hold above that. I think what we're going to end up seeing is we're going to see another test at the 50-day SMA. Not sure what's going to happen once that occurs. We could get support there. It could fall through. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but looking backwards, I can tell you that 50-day SMA has been a good area where the price has turned around after falling and has traded back up, and has continued to do that through pretty much the majority of 2024, if not all of 2024. So that would be the movement I'm looking for, is to see what happens with the 50-day SMA once we get a test of that as support.
Okay, I'm not a fortune teller either. That's why I invested in the Magic 8 Ball. So if you ever need help with that, we can do that. Real quickly, it's worth mentioning here, ISRG this morning, obviously after this earnings report was in the evening yesterday. Price target raises across the board. Citi going to 711, JP Morgan going to 675, Piper Sandler going to 670, Baird going to 707, BTIG going to 622. Citigroup going to 7. I already mentioned that. So Citi going to 711. So this is interesting here. Lion here saying ISRG is a put for me. You were just talking about a potential pullback to the 50-day moving average, which would make a lot of sense. Analysts telling you that the price should be higher here.
Okay. So, not today. It's not.
Nope, not today. It's not. And you know what? Like I said, this is what makes a market. So we'll see here. And we did actually lose 600 too. So we'll see where we end up getting some form. At the bottom of this candle from Tuesday, the 21st, the low on that 593.82. That is 30 cents away from where we're at right now.
Those are 12 to 24 month targets too. So it could absolutely go much higher following some corrective move that doesn't make it so it's overbought.
Yeah, but that corrective move might make it attractive to buy, especially if some of those price targets much higher. Okay, good stuff there. Next is going to be AXP, American Express. We actually talked a little bit about this in the happy hour yesterday, about this being a more high net worth card holder. American Express here, Q4 2024 GAAP EPS of 304. That was in line. Sales 17.7. So 0.179 billion, excuse me. That beat the 17.159 billion estimate. So a little bit of a beat there. Stocks down in the pre-market here, just about 0.5%. These earnings came out here this morning. Doesn't really, let's see, they increased the dividend.
Lots of great things. They reduced their credit loss provision.
Yeah.
Their sales beat, their EPS is in line. Everything looks good, right? Well, maybe the EPS just didn't hit that, that, like I said before, that magic number. It's within the range of estimates, but I believe there's other investors, some bigger investors that were hoping for maybe more than that, maybe more than 1550, or more revenue growth than 8 to 10%.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say
it
might be that revenue growth too. They're forecasting 8 to 10% there. Maybe they were looking for 12 to 15 on that.
And I don't know for a fact if that's what the case is here, but also when you look at the chart, you can also see that this one has been very extended. So it's time for this one to come in as well. But reducing the credit loss provision, I still have concerns about companies doing that. The American consumer has never had more debt than or credit card debt than now. So, and
did you hear? And I don't know if you saw this here. There was a news story earlier on Affirm. It's not quite a credit card company, but buy now, pay later. Wall Street Journal reported that Affirm Holding is going to get $750 million in funding from Liberty Mutual.
To do what?
They didn't say.
Just
The article's actually paywalled behind the Wall Street Journal, so I haven't gone through it, but I know that was a piece of news here. And Affirm, where are we at on Affirm here this morning? I think this was up earlier. Yes, it's up 5% now. This is actually up a little bit higher than it was earlier, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it's right near the highs. It's really kind of held higher. Affirm, this actually looks to press 60 here today.
Yeah, I would hope that they get they go up with they're getting free money.
Yeah. By the way, speaking with the firm, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, so shame on me if I didn't. A recapture of the 20-day moving average here looks to be on deck, at least a test of that. We'll see if we do take that out. I would imagine if it does, 50-day moving average is your next stop there. That's 3 points higher than the 20.
This is interesting. I actually have a channel drawn on this. I don't know when I drew it, but I like keeping my drawings on here because they're relevant later on. And this one's looking relevant right now. So this channel that I have, the price I have it in is between.
Is this a parallel channel? Do you want me to draw it here?
It's just a rectangle sideways channel, and I have it at the bottom basically from the December 2023 highs, and I think that's just the most important part. We don't even need to draw that channel, but just draw a line there from the December 2023 highs, and look and see where we just recently bounced off of. That's going to be a big support area that we should keep an eye on.
But so where do I draw this trend line through? Here's
horizontal, straight across. Yep. Look at that bounce we just had recently back on, what was this day? That was January 13th. Yeah, Monday, January 13th, right off that level. So,
all right, real quick, a Diamond Hotline here asking, Ryan, is Affirm head and shoulder on the daily? So I think what you're asking here is if this is the left shoulder and this is the head, and then maybe the right shoulder forms off somewhere over here. I'm guessing that's what you're asking. I mean,
at this stage, it's hard to say.
I was going to say, I'm not willing to say that this is yet until more of it forms. Am I wrong on that, 13? It sounds like you're in the same camp.
I think we need to see more development of this chart first to see what it does, because it could start to look that way. But we need to see a lot more price action before we can get confirmation that that's what we actually have. Also, I'd be a little skeptical if that's what we're seeing here, because this is, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but this is closer to the lower end of the stock's price range. So it would be weird to see, such a bearish pattern down here. Not that it couldn't happen again, but it's just unusual. So I think for now, let's just, watch and see what it does. I anticipate that after this rebound off that level I just had Ryan draw, we are going to try and recapture or attempt to recapture some of these simple moving averages. The 20 and the 50 are right there. That's what I'd be watching for, to see what happens with that. If we cannot get back over the 50, sometime, I don't want to say next week, but maybe by the end of this month or beginning of next month, then it looks like this could end up going lower.
Okay, there you go. And Diamond Hotline, it looks like this formation is also being formed here on the weekly. So you could check the daily and the weekly and kind of get your formation from that. Okay, good stuff there. Little bit of a digression there into Affirm, which is totally fine. Verizon last earnings that I wanted to really quickly mention here, then we can go ahead and talk about those movers. Verizon here was recently just recapturing its 500-day, which is fairly interesting. Let's see what do we do here with the Verizon dividend. Yeah, still pays about 6%, so still a pretty good dividend here. Verizon Communications Q4 2024 GAAP EPS of 118 beat the 106 estimate. Sales $35.7 billion, beat $35.31 billion. I am a Verizon customer and actually looking to change to Visible here pretty soon, full disclosure. But nonetheless, Verizon here higher by just about 2% here in the pre-market. But the company fiscal year 25 adjusted EBITDA growth 2 to 3.5%. Adjusted EPS growth 0 to 3%. Wireless revenue growth of 2 to 2.8%, adjusted EPS in there, and then estimate CapEx $17.5 billion to $18.5 billion. So it looks like the market kind of rewarding this. Services revenue up 3.1% there for Big Red. What else do we have? Wireless service revenue growth, 2 to 2.8% growth on there. So what do you think here on Verizon? You like this? Is this one of your dividend plays? I can't remember.
Yeah, I've owned Verizon for a long time. It's just, one of these companies that I just hold on to because they pay such a good dividend. Yeah. They're, I am a little concerned about the direction telecoms is heading with how many satellites we are starting to put into the orbit. So I'm feeling like there may be some headwinds coming for telecoms, but I think that may be further out. So I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. I think the big news here with this was the unveiling of their AI strategy and their AI business solutions. I think the sales and the guidance, it was okay. I don't think that was the reason why we're up today. I think the reason why we're up is because they've announced something that they haven't announced before, as far as I can recall. This AI information that they've dropped is a good step forward for them, and it speaks well to their growth ambitions. So I think that's why we're seeing this upside here in Verizon today. But yes, it is also a nice dividend-paying stock.
Quote, we're seeing significant demand for reliable network infrastructure that can support existing AI workloads, end quote.
There we go.
I don't think that's going to stop or go back. I think that's only going to grow.
Yep.
Okay, that takes care of the earnings here. Why don't we hit the movers now?
Let's do that, because I think some of those movers may have had earnings. Maybe not.
Well, we're going to start here with ALUR because Chris started our show by saying, hello, I'm short from 14, and ALUR is now in a 19 handle. Chris, hope you're doing okay over there. Anyway, what's going on with this one here? ALUR, weight loss therapy update, it looks like. Here, I'm going to try to read this without screwing it up. I apologize in advance if I do that. Allurion announces clinical study combining its Allurion program and GLP-1 agonists. To improve muscle mass. Studies show 5.6% muscle gain and 14% weight loss over 4 months with Allurion Balloon. In another study of 167 patients treated with the Allurion Balloon experienced a weight reduction of 15.7% with no change in muscle mass. So real quickly here, we talk a lot about some of the GLP-1s, the love handle drugs, the fat drugs, whatever you want to call them. The big drawback to those is that they cause you to lose not just fat, but muscle as well. It sounds to me like this here is a treatment that helps you lose some of that muscle, but helps you lose some of that fat, but maintain or maybe even grow some of that muscle. And I think that this would be much more palatable. Like some of the people that we know that have had really good success with GLP-1s, they're gym rats. They're in the gym every day trying to build up that muscle to counteract the loss that they're seeing, and it ends up obviously resulting in weight loss. But this might be a little bit more palatable. That's what's going on with this. The stock is up 390%. You see, yesterday we popped in the after hours. We actually popped a little bit here out of the pre-market open, but we've taken several legs up on volume here this morning. ALUR definitely going to be in play here today. 13, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, this I wrote down the reason why it was moving just because I saw there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. And I was like, okay, well, this is combating wasting in GLPs. So that's what we got here is a treatment that not only prevents the muscle loss that you get from GLP-1s, but is also going to help improve your muscle mass. Yeah. So that's, I don't want to say gym bros are going to jump on this thing, but it seems like a really, really interesting treatment to go along with the GLP-1. So you're losing fat and gaining muscle. It seems like there's almost no downsides to this anymore.
Yeah, full disclosure with that, I don't think that the company would, they're going to tell you what they did right and leave out the rest. Right. Let's see what happens over time as this gets looked into a little bit more. But on the surface here, this is why this is moving, and this is why the pop is so pronounced here today.
In addition to this, we have some other reasons why this is moving, and here we go. So it's a very low float stock, 2.72 million shares in the float. They did a 1 for 25 reverse split earlier this month on the 3rd. So they started off this year doing those kind of things. And that resulted in, I have a couple of different readings, but a 62% short interest, according to our short interest tool.
Mm-hmm.
And this company also has revenue and cash, but it is not yet profitable. So I don't know that we'll see do a capital raise. They may do it still, just because they try to finance individual things like this without using their own cash balance. Sometimes I think they just did they did a recent private placement. Yeah, a 2.5 million private placement back earlier this month. So they still do raise capital, but it's just not large amounts to keep the company afloat. They're well, they have a good amount of cash. They're okay. But how high this thing goes, I couldn't exactly tell you. The very low float, the short squeeze, and the really good news are just giving this an absolute lift.
Yeah, and this part of me makes me wonder if this is now a takeover target with some of this good news, because obviously this space is extremely competitive, and one of the other things that we've talked about is that there's likely to be M&A in this space as well. So, interesting stuff there. ALUR, this is definitely going to be in play here today. Here's my word of caution. Here's my word of caution. First of all, Chris, glad you made it out with the profit. Maybe don't have the white knuckle trade that Chris did. LOL. Glad you're safe, buddy. With this stock's up 360% here in the pre-market. Okay. Just a huge run. Lion here was pretty much saying the same thing. It's run so much, we need a pullback. And that's the thing. That I definitely not going to chase this one. But if we pull back here, this one does have the chance of bouncing here, so it's worth watching. There we go. I was able to trade around my massive loss and actually get out with a profit. Chris, glad it worked. Just be careful. Just be careful. Webcoin, ALUR, this should rug pull at some point today. ELAB has similar news, also worse numbers, though. Now, yes. Okay, really good transition there, Webcoin. It's like you've done this before. Next stock on our list here is going to be ELAB. PMGC Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced its Northstrive Bioscience subsidiary will present at a symposium on anti-obesity treatments. So this about a data presentation here. When did it say that was?
That's Friday, February 7th.
Okay, there you go, at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So that'll be the afternoon, Friday, February 7th. How many weeks from that is? 2 weeks. It's right before Super Bowl.
If you're going to play it for that event, you're going to have to get into this on Friday and hold over the weekend.
Interesting. Okay. That's what's going on here with ELAB. Let's take a quick look around the horn and see what some of the other stats are. 10% of the float shorted with just 1 day to cover. We should be okay there. 3.03 million shares in the float. So another one of those low floaters. This is definitely in the range. I know we've traded ELAB before here on the show. It's been off the relative volume scanner, but looks like we're gearing here again on ELAB.
Yeah, and they did a 1 for 200 reverse split on November 27th. So that's why we have this very low float right now. They do have a few quarters of cash, but this is just a presentation. I don't know when they're going to need to raise capital again, because I haven't looked into what their pipeline is like or when they expect results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Next here is going to be EVAX. EVAX, Evaxion Biosciences. I didn't see any news earlier. Let me check again just to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth.
It's relative volume.
Yep, just relative volume. Also 22% short. There was news, I think, on January 15th about a phase 2 cancer vaccine trial. Yeah.
We traded.
What?
I think we traded that.
Yeah, we traded that. I'm just saying, I think that's probably stale here. EVAX looks like this is moving here. We had a nice little pop yesterday, 2 legs up here today. We're actually right at the VWAP here, so this not terrible in terms of where it's at right now. We would really like to see this volume expand again to take us higher here, perhaps into double digits, which I don't think is out of the question here today. 13, what do you think on EVAX?
As far as the price action here in the pre-market, we are beneath the VWAP, like you said, I think. But if we are going to trade down some more, which I anticipate we will, I think that somewhere in around the high sixes might provide support. So somewhere around 660 to 680, there might be a support area in there. Just basing this off of some consolidation and some pre-market highs that we had prior to this run that we're coming down off of. So for me, this is going to be one that I would expect to trade lower into the open, and then it might start trading better once we are into the regular session. It could start pushing back up. That would be my expectation. So I'm just going to wait and see if that's what we get.
Okay. Good stuff there. EVAX, next one here on the list. I'm just going to keep running down the list. There are a couple here that I recognize that I'll make sure we cover as well. Next one here is going to be NVNI. This is NVNI Group. NVNI Group shares are trading higher after the company announced it regained NASDAQ compliance. So here we go. Our NASDAQ compliance regain theme is back here today. $2, $2.10 looks to be the resistance area. This thing blew through it in the after hours and then did it again here in the pre-market. Another quick look around the horn here, 1.36% of the float shorted. That is pretty much nothing. Float here, 10.54 million. What do you got, 13? What do you think?
Well, they did receive a termination notice. It says that they regained compliance, but I think that's regarding the minimum bid requirements. I'm still concerned about if they have regained compliance in the sense that they have delayed their financial filing, because that is a headline I see here on the 15th. So are they, is there multiple things that are adversely affecting this? Because it seems like they didn't meet the bid requirements and they didn't file their financial statement on time. So I would be extra careful with this one. I don't know anything about this company other than what I've just read here. Looks like their float is 10.5 million. So it's low enough to move around. Let me take a look here at my broker.
Really quickly, while you're taking a look there, Brazilian company did say that they would. Here we go. Under the NASDAQ rules, the company has 60 calendar days or until March 8th to file that report. The company intends to file the annual report within the 60-day period described above. So they're telling you there that they do intend to file this report before that March 8th deadline. That would be one of the next catalysts to take a look there.
That should be the next catalyst. So and we might get a bigger move on that with this. When that's announced. So as far as what happens today, let's see where we're at here. I don't want to say the upside could be a little muted, but I temper expectations.
Okay.
And we seem to be coming up to a bit of a gap, unless we're So there's a gap that I see that was created on the 7th and 8th of this month. And it goes from about 250 to 280. So we're getting pretty close to that. Something to watch for if this continues with the upside.
There you go. I had that gap filling at 283. That is right there on the daily, clear as day. All right, next here, the big one from yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's back here again today. Actually popped in the pre-market open here. It's come back in, but it really didn't give up where it consolidated yesterday. I know Michael Storm, good morning, Michael. Great to have you back here. I know you were asking about this, DWTX. This is Dogwood Therapeutics. No news, runner from yesterday. That's what we got here. It looks like we did kind of this 25 to 27 area. That's definitely some pretty heavy resistance there. 1% of the float shorted. Float 1.28 million. So it's just that low float stock. You got anything else on this? I know we talked about this yesterday, traded this yesterday. It's just relative volume from yesterday.
Let me look at this 5-minute chart here, because I think there's a trend line that we can draw that we can keep an eye on to see if we start trading back up to that. So the highs from yesterday, draw a trend line from there through the highs of the pre-market. And I think that's where your potential breakout level could be if we get back over the VWAP.
Here you go.
And probably through the consolidation that we had from 20 to 25. That's another thing to watch for. But that trend line, I think, is going to be could be in play today if we continue with that relative volume strength.
Okay, 1878 is the VWAP, current price 1630, and the trend line, depending on when it reaches there, somewhere probably around 23.
Mm-hmm.
So there are your upside targets, Michael. For DWTX, I will say you lose this 13 area where this thing pulled back yesterday during that momentum run. I think you probably have what Mark calls a quick move lower.
That's a really good spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So really good stuff there. Okay. We talked about Twilio already there. And actually, it looks like that's trying to take the next leg higher here. Remember, we had the earnings and guidance and then more raised price targets here today. Let's see. RNAS. Do we want to cover this one? I didn't cover this one. Let's see what we had here on RNAS. We had news yesterday in the morning. Oh, excuse me, not yesterday. A while ago. This was actually Tuesday of last week. So it looks like it was just trading, just wild action here yesterday. You have anything on RNAS?
No, sorry. I was just kind of reading at Twilio real quick. Let me look at
All good. All good.
Because I wanted to see what they talk about their guidance in some headlines, and I was like, oh, okay, they guided really well, Twilio. So anyway, Transcode Therapeutics. This was a halt fest.
Yeah, it sure was.
Yeah, so relative volume, most likely. Maybe a little bit of the short interest is playing a part in it. But man, that float, that's the lowest float we've seen so far today in these stocks we've looked at. So that's the kind of float that can make or break an account. Be careful with this one. It did go, look at all that price action that it had yesterday. So you see this thing rocketing up until about, what is this, 10 p.m.? How was that 10 p.m.? Let me look at my other chart here. Yeah, so this thing rockets up, and then after it finally hits, about 1250, this thing just does nothing but come right back in. That's what low floats can do. Be careful. Don't be on the wrong side of these.
Yeah. PRFX, we talked about this one recently. This is pain reform. This did spike again here today. I don't have anything fresh on this. Just looks like kind of pre-market action here might be driven around. SES. Excuse me, SES. This is another one that we've traded a lot recently. This had a huge rip yesterday. It's holding, I don't know, kind of in this 126 area. I'm glad this didn't enter penny stock territory. Pre-market high here, 130. I don't think there was anything new on SES today. No, this was all from yesterday. Mm-hmm. Contracts totaling 10 million to develop the AI enhanced Li metal and lithium metal and lithium ion batteries. That was your news here from yesterday. It looks like we have some continuation, maybe a relative volume play on that today. Hoth. This is one that we've joked about quite a bit. This is popping here. I didn't think this was on any new. Oh, I guess never mind. Excuse me. Hoth Therapeutic regains compliance with NASDAQ. So that also fits into that theme that we've talked about. NVO on here. Novo Nordisk shares are trading higher after the company announced the completion of a phase 1b/2a trial with subcutaneous amycretin for people who are overweight or have obesity. So getting some more data there. 22%. The novel obesity drug causes up to 22% weight loss. Obviously, that's causing the stock to trade up here, up about 11.5% on Novo. Let me actually go back to the big chart. We get asked about Novo a couple of times here. I know we've traded this recently in the with the GLP-1s and alongside Lilly. You could see one of the things that we were looking at in 2024 was the Head and Shoulders. I feel like this Head and Shoulders is now resolved, right? We really kind of traded down here. It sure looks like we bottomed out at 80. We're actually in a gap now, which is kind of interesting. This gap right here, about $89. This fills up at 103. Stock's currently $90. So we do have the 50-day moving average in the way there at about 97. But Novo looking pretty good here. Chart actually looking pretty good. RSI has plenty of room for this to go. MACD just curled. The histogram's positive. So I think, what do you think? You think this Head and Shoulders is fully resolved and it might be time for us to trade back up?
I think it was resolved at 90 before it went lower.
Okay.
So everything below 90 was a pretty good buying opportunity. I would say that, yeah. I mean, not to say that this couldn't go lower. There may be some other news that comes out that hammers us some more. And we had a death cross back on October, which we're still seeing the results of. So The good thing today, though, is that we've recaptured the 20-day SMA. Now we need to hold that so we can make our way back up to the 50. And in the process of that, we may end up filling the gap. But just need to, the first things first, just want to see that 20-day SMA hold.
Okay.
And I'm kind of curious. Did all these drug companies get together last night and say, hey, we should all announce our GLP-1 data, or at least make some kind of headline announcement so we can all have a good day? Seems like that's all we've been talking about today, is these different companies that have weight loss drugs or GLP-1s.
It's definitely a theme. And don't forget, this is likely going to affect other weight loss drug stocks that we've talked about. I know VKTX, this has actually been a big winner in the past. This just lost its 500-day and actually looks like it might be trying to recapture that. VKTX down here 2.7% with some of this other good news. I guess VKTX didn't have any good news here. Lilly also down 1.25% here in the pre-market. This Lilly move down to the 500. That's something that I'm really waiting for.
The thing I'm waiting for with NVO is, and this might, I don't know when this could happen, but if RFK is going to make any kind of statement or announcement regarding alcoholism and treatments for that, I think NVO is going to be one to be in for that. They actually have a alcoholism treatment program. So that, I think that there is worth looking into. It could be a really good one on that particular theme.
Yeah, and also don't forget that the GLP-1s themselves really kind of make it so alcohol is just an extremely unpleasant experience. A lot of the feedback that we've heard from people that actually take some of these drugs say that they just don't want to drink. It makes them sick. So, okay, good stuff there. NVO. Question here is, where is that? Let me make sure I get that question. Is NVO good to get back in? The official kamikaze, we cannot trade for you. We can only tell you what we think from the chart here, from the news here. Things are looking up. But again, when it comes down to that trade, be sure to factor in your own risk profile. Make sure you have a plan for if it works or if it does not work. We cannot manage your money for you. Okay, let's go back here to the movers. See if there was anything else on here. LAES, this is another one that we've traded recently. This was on the movers tool here. This is actually up off yesterday's lows. This has been a 2-day sell-off. After some of those runs to the highs that we talked about. Maybe this gets going again. And then Lunar also trading back up here. And this looking like it's trying to take out Wednesday's highs. So we've talked a lot about some of the space themes recently. Lunar sure does look like it's trying to break out. 2350 is going to be that spot. Let's see if we can actually take that out and go higher here on Lunar. Do you have anything else you want to cover?
I'm just looking at the space watch list here. Most of them appear to be
and sorry 13. Okay. I apologize, I skipped right over this. Let me just mention this here. Shout out Izzy. Intuitive Machines awarded contract to advance lunar logistics, cargo, and mobility solutions. NASA has awarded this a $2.5 million study contract to advance lunar logistics, handling and off-roading, and surface cargo and mobility under the agency's next Space Technologies for Exploration Partnership Appendix. So $2.5 million contract here, driving this higher 5+%.
That's just one more win for them. They've been getting a lot of contracts. I know Thinking About It has been all over the contracts that they've been receiving in addition to other companies. So I expect to continue to get contracts as well as a bunch of these other satellite and lunar and data center space plays.
Okay. Real good stuff. Folks, one more thing that I wanted to mention. Izzy, I know that you talk about Uber quite a bit recently. One of the things that I saw, I actually can't remember I think it was when we were off the show. I don't think it was while we were live in the morning show. I did talk about this in happy hour yesterday, though. Lyft saw a extremely unusual option buy yesterday on Lyft. It was the April vertical call spread, and it was the April 20 and 23s. I took a look at this yesterday, and I looked at those April 20 calls, and they were 25-cent ask. And I said to myself, oh, man, you remember there's been rumors here about Lyft and DoorDash possibly merging or developing some kind of partnership. Uber is absolutely kicking Lyft's butt, and a big part of that is going to be Uber Eats. It just kind of makes sense to me. And I saw some unusual option activity. The contracts were extremely cheap, so I took some of those here. Long Lyft expiry, the April monthly expiry, and the calls that I took were the 20 calls. The calendar spread was 2023. So just wanted to mention that here, especially with Izzy using Uber as a ATM. I know Jay Rice, you have absolutely crushed Lyft. In the past, you've made some excellent calls here, actionable calls, by the way, for our group. So Lyft here now, unusual option activity. We are long. If you take a look at the chart here, it does look like maybe this could kind of curl here and move higher. So just a thought there. Full disclosure, we're long Lyft via some calls. Okay, let's take a look here. We got, less than a minute? Yeah, we have 45 seconds till the market opens here. I'm going to flip over to the main chart. We did it. We got through everything. We got through everything.
And the bell didn't ring on us mid-sentence.
Nope. And I love that because then I always feel like I'm trying to rush something out there. We're missing the opening print. But here we are ready to go. I think we're going to take a look at ALUR out of the open and see what that opening print looks like.
All right. 15 seconds.
Yeah, Chris was talking about Apple. This was pumping here in the pre-market. I don't think there was news, was there? Yeah, Bank of America maintains buy, but lowered the price target. I don't think that was it. Anyway.
Here we go. All right, Allure lower out of the gate.
I've got VWAP at 1264, 1262 here in Trading View. We'll see if we pull back down to that level, ALUR.
ELAB trying to push up out of the gate here slowly. EVAX right off the 65 EMA at the open here.
Okay, the results are in. Regarding our poll question on Elon Musk and Tesla from the article that we shared earlier, do you think some of Elon's public actions hurt the Tesla brand? 53% of you said yes, 30% of you said no, and 16% of you abstained, saying not sure. So good stuff there in that poll. I like that one.
Allure with a big pull.
Right to the VWAP. Actually, beneath the VWAP now.
NVNI, this is blasting off. DWTX may go next.
Oh, Allure offering? Is that what that was? ALUR? Yep. Allurion to raise approximately 7.4 million of gross proceeds in offering priced at the market. Chris, where are you at, bro? You have got to be absolutely beside yourself right now. Absolutely beside yourself right now that they rugged Allure. By the way, we're going to start today off with multiple one-ups and a register ring because several of you folks said this is going to rug. And look what they did. David, great mention there on that offering. Bang.
$6 each is where this those shares are being issued. So this thing is probably going to fall. Let's just not worry about Allure right now. We have other things to trade here.
Yeah, good stuff there.
VNI, that got as high as 272. DWTX, here we go. Looking for that trend line, sniffing it out.
Right at the VWAP right now. How far are we from that trend line?
So let's see. Are all the let's see, what's NVO doing? Is that pulling as well? Is that just the whole GLP-1? Yep, it's pulling as well. So the whole GLP-1 theme right now is pulling.
Now with NVO, though, they have their own news catalyst and not affected by that offering. This might be a potential bounce candidate. DWTX, after that pump there, started to pull as well, by the way. Lost VWAP in a hurry.
But NVNI says, I'm the strongest today.
Look at this. That was monster. Not in this one, but this is running.
And let's see. Let's see where this runs to.
I'm really proud. I'm really proud of our chat here. You guys are absolutely. I mean, this is so awesome. So awesome. NBIS spiking out of the gate here. NBIS. Lion Atlas, by the way, I think one of the things that we should do in the next coming weeks here is we should get a cage match with a ladder in the middle for you and the Godfather and just have you guys get on stream and just go back and forth at each other. I think that we might have to do that.
You have to download some WWE sounds.
Oh, dude, I will replace the entire soundboard with WWE.
Rock bottom. Rock bottom.
Oh,
Oh, Cooler having a nice
that's funny.
moment here. What's the SPY doing?
SPY here is going higher, 609.93. Actually, looks like it's going to try and break higher as we speak.
Yeah, there's pushing up to 610. Okay. All right, so
HIMAX going for its pre-market highs there, 1250. Watch that spot on HIMAX. That's HIMX. Arnaz, this might, remember, this is that super, super thin one. $7 even is what I have the VWAP as on Arnaz here. We're actually trading right back up to that as we speak. Just took it out here, Arnaz.
Smita mentioning Rigetti, that is pushing up to the highs of yesterday. Yesterday we opened and got as high as 1463. We're getting pretty close to that. There's a large seller at 1450 that might prevent it. But if it gets through that, then we're looking at hitting yesterday's highs.
Arnaz here, action kind of crazy there. Looks like that 713 spot. A lot of stock traded there. Boy, I just too chicken to jump in this one.
I think Arnaz is halted. Is it?
It is not halted. I'm literally watching it trade. I think he said BLBX might be halted. I don't see that reported by signals here, but let's take a look.
NVNI still going, looking for 280.
BLBX, that's black box stocks. This is not halted. It's just spread quite a bit.
If NVNI gets dumb and goes to some ridiculous levels, it could run up to somewhere around 950 to 6. All right, looks like EVAC heading lower, looking for pre-market. Actually, this may have lost a trend line from the pre-market.
SES going lower. DWTX continuing to go lower. That was a Mutombo rejection at the VWAP.
EVAC's coming up to the trend line established in the pre-market. So if we don't reverse here, then we're headed probably headed under 5. It's like ALUR finally suspended.
Yep, that is halted here, confirmed.
ELAB getting some support from the 325 area where we had some resistance earlier. So now it's turned support. It was resistance in pre-market. Now it's support. Let's see if it holds. NVNI looking for 3. There it is.
NVNI, Arnaz here seem to be the two best movers here. This Arnaz move through the VWAP was juicy, right there through 7. Looks like it had a kind of a nasty pull afterwards, but higher we go. 13, I'm going to step away for 1 sec, BRB.
Sounds good. Jay Wild saying SERV is moving on no news. Christopher Anthony also mentioning QBTS. So we have quantum names doing well, it seems. There's D-Wave. That's up almost 7%. On Q, how's that doing? That's up almost 4. T and quantum computing, QUBT, is up almost 7. So quantum is back. Boeing is flying. I see what you did there, but you know what? That's crazy because they released some preliminary numbers last night that were not good looking at all. So maybe there was just some massive overselling on that. Let's see what we got here with Boeing's price action. Okay, so I guess they didn't sell off too much. They appear to have held above the 20-day SMA, which is where we're trading off of at the moment. If this continues to go up, it's going to need to break into the 180s where they could find some more resistance, or we could see a breakout. Now, we do have a golden cross potentially coming up by the end of this month, beginning of next month. That's where the 50-day SMA crosses the 200-day SMA to the upside.
Which stock? This
is Boeing. It's moving up. And the highs that we made prior to this downside that we're recovering from, that was 182.57.
Okay. We had mentioned Boeing earlier. When I had talked about this, we had a news story here on Boeing earlier regarding the preliminary results. They looked pretty bad. The EPS loss was crazy. And I had mentioned the stock was only down like 1.2% in the pre-market. Really did not have a negative reaction. Now, I didn't buy it on that, but this move up here, at least this move up out of the gate, it actually kind of makes sense given the pre-market action.
NVNI still looking green here. It may be running into some resistance, but so the next 5-minute candle that we get here could be the one before we start to see some downside or some pullback.
New poll up here. Thank you, producer. It's the return of the Benzinga boot camps. Let's go. Got a lot of really good stuff out of those in the past. Let us know what time of the day would be the best for a boot camp for you.
Oh, can I throw my thought?
Let me. Yeah, yes, you can. But really quickly before we do that, let me take a look. I don't know what the choices are. Why don't you actually vote too, 13? You'd actually have to go to the stream on YouTube and then cast your vote. I'm going to go do that myself right now.
I vote in these polls.
Okay, what morning, noon, afternoon? Morning is 11 a.m. Eastern. Noon is 12 p.m. Eastern. That's like an hour difference, guys. And afternoon is 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so it's an hour difference. So we're basically looking at a 3-hour window.
I would think the noon would be best.
I voted for noon.
Yeah, because that's when we see a market slowdown from the morning trading. Investors, traders, they go off to lunch and then they come back and the market starts to pick back up again. So during that lull would be a pretty good time, for people to learn about what's coming up after the lunch hour or what's going to be able to move tomorrow. And it's going to be during a time where there's not nearly as much participation in price action in stocks as there are when all eyes are on it.
Okay. Okie dokie, good stuff there.
Super Scam mentioning BBAI. This thing continues to pop up on scanners. I think that I would be careful with this one. I don't like the way the daily chart looks. It's like EVAX is trying to turn around and recapture some levels here. See if it can do that. Trying to get back above the 65 EMA. I think it really needs to get back above 685. That would be one of the bigger levels I think it needs to recapture. Yeah, Grim Biscuit, I'm seeing that too. I'm seeing it's doing something. Jay Rice mentioning VFC.
VFC can just continue to move higher here. It looks like earnings in 5 days there on VSC.
All right. EVAX really trying to turn around here. Like I said, 685, I think, is the level it needs to recapture, or else we're going to probably head lower.
ALUR resumed out of that halt after that offering. Guess what, folks? Lower we go.
Yeah, it's going to 6.
What's that?
It's going to
6. Yeah. Is he saying buying the Amazon dip? The dip's already resolved. Is he? Well, nice move. That dip got bought right back there on Amazon. Haven't we seen this a couple of days in a row now on Amazon? Yes.
So
yes. Good Lord.
So I just closed my first trade today. That was an EVAX. I probably may have done it a little too early, but the trade here was that I mentioned this trend line in the pre-market. You can draw it yourself. You just go to the low at the very wee hours of the morning, 4:05. Draw it through the low at 7:10, and that was the trend line I was looking for a reversal. It came pretty close, but I jumped in when we got down there, and we turned around. So that's that exactly right there.
Yep. That's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Yeah, Izzy saying every day. So that Amazon pattern that you've identified, that dip out of the open seems to be getting bought. Seems to be working, Izzy. Really good stuff again. ALUR taking souls. It's taking chaser souls.
Well, we talk about, when sometimes when these movers, they run up into the open, they can do this. Now, they don't have an offering that helps, facilitate this.
Halted to the upside, by the way.
But, we have talked a lot about when these movers make these big moves and they don't have some kind of corrective action prior to the open, That happens usually when we first open or close to the open. Very seldomly do we see stocks continue to run, unless that news is just absolutely out of this world. It'll continue to run after the open. But usually when it starts to slow down after a run like this and goes sideways like you see here in Allure, you kind of want to wait.
Planet Labs here, one of your space stocks, PL. This is ramping out of the open here. Is he mentioning ONDS under 2? This has been really the last couple of days here on this with the really good news. Just the trading action has been really crappy. It sucks.
It's back to risk on. So I imagine Bitcoin's moving up as well.
Bitcoin it's actually spiking right now. Bitcoin 106 on the futures chart. This is literally going vertical on volume as we speak.
Bitcoin, quantum, space, drone,
lift,
nuclear. Every time that we see Bitcoin starting to move up or looking like it's going to have a big move up, look at all those that you have on your watch list. Those are the themes. Those are the big speculative plays from last quarter that we all were trading and having a great time with. Those are the risk on plays. You see Bitcoin move, take a look at what those are doing. They're probably moving as well. Space, absolutely having a wonderful morning. On my watch list, only 2 are actually down, and they're down less than 0.5%.
Your EVAX now moving through the VWAP here, right off that trend line bounce that you called. That was really good. Arnaz is halted. This to the upside. That Arnaz call is so pissed I missed that. That was really good. Slow morning here for me, man. Bummer. This lift is working straight up out of the gate on lift.
Oh, well done, Wisdom. He's writing SIDU. This is the City of Space. They're the ones that are doing a data center in space near the lunar orbit, I believe. EVAX halted to the upside after a move through VWAP. When the sun halts, I would think that it pushes over 8, but probably runs into some resistance between 805 and 845. That would be my thought. That's a little bit of a consolidation area from past price action.
Okay, SPY ramping here, by the way. 610 new highs.
ULAB lower, NVNI. This one looked like it's just cooling off just a little bit so it can make its next push higher. Just keep an eye on the volume. If it doesn't, if it really starts to lose the volume, it could lose VWAP as well. Looks like ELAB is trying to turn around.
264 is that VWAP, by the way, on NVNI. That actually would be a really better spot for this to kind of hold at.
This is a good morning so far. Looks like everybody's having a good time. SOUN, oh, what do you know? That's back as well. By the way,
good old Soundhound.
That was one of the best trading vehicles yesterday. Just really easy to just get in and out of it.
Yeah.
It has these really large outsized moves up and these slow, large moves to the downside. Really well behaved with the different levels, the technicals, and the demand zones. Because yesterday we came down to pre-market consolidation after having a big run up slightly over 17. Guess what? We found support, rallied back up to near 1670. So those are some. That's a really good trading vehicle, but I wouldn't want to hold this.
Okay, DWTX looking like this is going to continue lower here. DWTX. ELAB, this is trying to bounce. This didn't quite get to the 289, which is the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Not quite get there. NVNI. Oh, are we going back to the highs here? 13 NVNI.
Oh, perfect. Looks like it wants to take out 3. Could with
here we go. We're coming up to a 3 test right here.
A bit of a fight happening here. Uh-oh. Looks like buyers need to step in a little bit more here.
Oh, they're stepping. They're taking it right to 3. Let's see if we pop 3, though. Went right to the number and stopped there. Did not break above it. That was interesting. I'm actually going to go to a 1-minute chart. I know we're looking at one of the levels off the 5, but looked like that could just kind of wicked there at 3. I don't think this might not be done yet.
No, volume's pretty good.
Yeah, volume, and look at the volume stick there. There we go, right above 3. Good stuff there. NVNI. All right.
Yeah, keep getting
I'm
this
out there on that move through 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah, but we
One
keep
for
getting this
one.
volume.
Whew, at least
We
I
keep
got
getting-
something. I mean, like, look, I'm looking at all these things. I'm like getting orders ready, and then they start going and halting to the upside, basically giving me the double bird. I'm like, hey,
Great exit.
oh, dude, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good on that. NVNI, big pull. Actually, this is good though. Let's see if this pulls to the VWAP. I might try it again if we get down 267 on that.
How much time do we have on EVAX? That's the one that's halted.
Let's see. That was halted at 9:45:02. It's 9:48.
Okay.
Looks like we have 2 minutes on EVAX.
Thank you. ALUR may have found some support. I think it should have gone lower. So let's. I don't think I want to jump in this quite yet. It might get a push up to VWAP and then a rejection. I want to wait because that offering was for $6. So.
Oh my God, NVNI going, dude. Look at that. Here, hang on a sec. So that pull was that. Oh God, and it almost got to the VWAP. Look at that. What a monster move. It got the volume. This is what you were talking about, 13. This is what you were saying. If this comes back in, this is going to go higher. Look what happened. Amazing call on that. C Spot saying I just cleaned up 40% on NVNI. Give you a register ring for that. Okay, now we're having a good morning.
Oh, I like it when everybody has fun.
Me too. Me too. I just, that makes me feel so much better. So much better. NVNI, this one's a good one.
Yeah. Allure also trying to push up. I still have a suspicion that we may see rejection near VWAP just because of that offering price. So, and it is looking like we may be putting in a bit of a bear flag out of this morning price action so far. So I'm going to be careful with this one, not jump into it quite yet. I would like to see it maybe lose 10 first. All right, EVAX is open. Looks like this wants to, well, it looked like for a moment there it was trying to push higher. Let's see if it can hold above the 685 level that I was talking about earlier.
NVNI, Smoke Tuna saying it looks like it's got some more room to go, but it needs a pullback. I would agree with that, Tuna. I think it needs to shake some of those people out. I can't smash the buttons fast enough. Hopefully you're talking about the like button.
And then look at the pull in EVAX now.
Wonder if it pulls back down to that trend line again.
If it goes down to the trend line again, I think it's going to break right through it.
ALUR is halted to the upside again. Second halt, this one to the upside. Shook out that off those offering sellers. Trying to go higher now. What else do we have on this list? HIMX. This was actually a pretty decent move out of the open. That at highs now as well. Let's check how Mark's stock of the day is doing. We talked about EA with Mark earlier. Looks like this is continuing lower here. Let me go back to the bigger chart and let's chart this out. Let's see. So interesting so far. So I'd watch this area. I got 115.5 on EA. That is going to be yesterday's intraday lows. I'd want to see us hold that area. Right? I'd want to see us hold that area. We hold that here. Maybe then we're setting up for a bounce. We talked about the support area, support and resistance area, I beg your pardon, going all the way back to 2017. Watch EA here today against yesterday's lows of 115.50.
That was a wow.
Ryan Milligan, TSSI. It's going higher again. Did you mention this earlier and I missed it? Look at this. Man, this was a great call on Wednesday, dude. And this says now 1750, 18 maybe in range here.
ELAB finally making a move towards VWAP.
Bobby, opinions of ONDS. If you're suffering, dude, there's only one person that can answer that for you. I told you I have a long-term view on ONDS. I'm not dealing with this back and forth stuff just because sometimes it doesn't make sense. Do not put yourself in a position where you feel like you can't sleep or you can't get back from it. Can always make that money back. I am still holding all of my shares. I'm looking for 5, but I am okay being patient. I'm okay being patient. I'll wait this out if I have to. I've already been waiting it out for 2 years now, I think. So I got no don't hanging on to it. My thesis is not your thesis. Don't put yourself in trouble. Don't get yourself in trouble. Yeah.
ALUR is halted. I have concerns about what may happen out of this next halt. So
Which one for ALUR?
Just don't like the way the formation we have here looks. It looks like we could unhalt, maybe pop up to VWAP and then drop. We'll see, but I'd be concerned about ALUR. And BNI.
And actually, so that was 950.35. It's 953 right now. So we got about a minute until this opens up here.
Yeah, and NBNI still making new day highs.
350 spot there, NVNI.
And still looking for 590 to 6 as a stupid upside level for NVNI. I mean, based on this price action, it could certainly do it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Should have stayed. Yeah, with you on that. Me too. But that's how it goes. Can't be mad about making money. Can't be mad about money left on the table. That's hindsight. That's poison. Can't do it.
We might see a little bit pullback here. Seems like there's a lot of sellers stepping in right now. So once we chew through that, then it can go higher. But
NBIS hit 41 and turned around. Netflix continuing to move back down here off the 990 level.
NBIS.
OMDS did recapture too, by the way, thankfully. Tesla actually pushing up towards the highs here now. See if Tesla can get 420 secured.
All right. So just kind of waiting to see what happens with these halted stocks. Looking around and seeing what else is going on. All those speculative moves. We're getting some attention this morning. Well, it looks like Arcad actually might be trying to push up through 879. Just needs better volume, but it looks like it's set up to do so. It's getting good support from VWAP. Just need to see some better volume in this, and it could go higher.
NVNI pushed higher. ALUR is open here, and 13 looks like you had a good one here. This is moving lower.
Yeah, there's buyers trying to step in here, but yeah, I think this may just end up moving lower ultimately. And EVAX is open now. Looks like they must have halted around the same time.
ALUR, big pull right there.
Yeah.
This might, no. So this halted. Was this 924? Was that first halt? I wonder if this halts if it gets back down there. ALUR. So you think that this doesn't have really another bounce in it? You think that this kind of rolls over and tests that 6?
If it has another bounce in it, it should be after some more downside.
Okay.
Maybe buyers step in and push it back up. But I would think based on the formation that we see a test of at least 8 first.
Okay. See if we get that there. ALUR. I tell you what, it looks like it's kind of a battleground right now. Am I seeing things, or?
I don't think you are. It's trying to.
It's trying
not to have that downside.
So,
but I think you get it.
So this is a one. You know what? This is a 1 minute candle, and I don't feel great about calling this a hammer, but it does have a hammer shape here. I guess we'll see what the 5 minute candle forms to. Maybe this comes back up and does actually give you a hammer on that 5. Anyway, feels like there's a battle there.
Mm-hmm.
Steve is saying order placed, but nothing filled. Never had that happen. Steve, I actually saw one of my other trading buddies said that there were execution problems on Schwab. I have made a couple of in and outs here today, and I have not had that. So that looks to be intermittent. Tried to buy 2,500 shares of NVNI at the market at the 275 dip, wouldn't fill for whatever reason. So your market order didn't fill. I wonder if there's a problem with market orders. I was using limits. That's good info. Steve, keep sharing that though, because that sucks, man. If your broker all of a sudden stops working, what are you supposed to do? I mean, that's like the worst. Happens to me all the time, says Chris. On Schwab, that's like a normal occurrence for you guys? That sucks.
NVNI hit 4 exactly, and now it's coming back in. Might find support at VWAP down at 3.
Look at ALUR.
Oh, there's buyers stepping in, it looks like.
Yeah, well, what I was saying about that 5-minute candle, it's kind of turning this into a hammer. We're actually above 11 again. VWAP at 1231 on this.
The significant hammer for the reversal was the one at 945. That was the reversal hammer.
Britt now saying there's something wrong with Schwab. Okay, so folks, if you guys have a Schwab account, be careful, because it looks like we're getting more than just 1 or 2 isolated reports about orders not happening. Britt, you're saying something's wrong. Are your orders filling, Britt, or no? Right now, some issues, I think. Okay.
Take a look at PCLA. Okay, I'll look at PCLA. Is this a new IPO? Looks like it.
Nick saying, who is the guest earlier this week that said the only people who buy at the bottom and sell at the top are liars? I believe that sounds to me like a Tim Melvin quote. That's what that sounds like to me, Nick. I can't say 100% certainty, but I'm fairly certain that was Tim Melvin.
They're either liars or they're lucky. I've actually hit the bottom, but I don't consider myself to be a liar.
You have I'll tell you something. You talk about that. Your Microsoft COVID buy that you shared the Phil confirm with shows that you nailed the bottom. I will defend you till my last breath on that one, 13.
But that was me being lucky.
Okay, so there you go.
I'm not going to say that, oh yeah, I totally had that planned. I absolutely nailed the bottom. No, I bought on the right day. Is what happened.
Jared's asking if we stream daily. Yes, Jared. Any day the market is open, our stream starts at 8 o'clock Eastern and ends at 11 Eastern. We also have some content after that. Yes, happy to have you here. Hope to see you back. Sorry, one sec here. Britt said, when I tried to sell Rigetti earlier, it gave me some weird error messages if I could only sell by putting in a stop. You know, that guys, you get error messages like that, that actually might be worth a reach out to the support desk and see if they have anything for you. That doesn't sound right at all.
So Jonathan, what am I looking at here with PCLA? I don't know anything about this company. Communications equipment. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Jay said, don't you know, Ryan, no one on Twitter ever took a loss. I'll tell you what, when I find accounts on Twitter that share losses that they're taking, I follow those accounts. I've actually learned a lot. One of my mentors I found on Twitter, and I found because one Tuesday he posted a screenshot of his account that said, how's your Tuesday going? And it was his active positions minus $1 million. So I was like, okay, if you're willing to share that, you're probably not full of shit. Anyway. Han saying IB's working fine amongst all of this. Can you guys go 24 hours, JJ?
Well, you ready to pay a premium?
24 hours a day, gosh.
We'll have to work out a sleep schedule, Ryan, but I'm down. Let's do this.
Why are you making this worse? 13. All right, guys. ALUR. This is an interesting one here. It is not able to break above that 1230 yet. It's actually holding right beneath its VWAP here. We'll see if this gets going. What else we have going on here? NVNI didn't crack 4. Might not be done. EVAX, how did we do on that? Looks like we lost the VWAP on that.
Be careful with NVNI. They're doing their upper shadow thing on the 5-minute. EVAX, yeah, that had a nice reversal after their drop through VWAP. Now they're trying to recapture VWAP. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do it with this volume or not. It's very spready as well. There might be a good risk to reward trade here, but I think the risk is just a little too high for me right now.
Okay. Steve, I like this call here. Steve, and actually I'll put SPY on here. I'm with you on this, Steve. I have no position on this, but I'm going to look into this. Steve here saying, looks like SPY might be set up for a bit of a knife here. Short put could print.
It could. Let me look at on my chart here, because it could be setting up to just cool off and go higher, or it could be doing exactly what you're saying it's going to do. Okay, so EVAX, that I should have just taken that, because it's halted to the upside now after going through VWAP. I just don't like how spready or how low the volume is. So it could just absolutely blast off, maybe take out, go into the 8s, possibly the 9s, but the risk here to do that, I didn't feel like that would be worth it, because if you looked at seeing what happened just about 10 minutes prior, where they had that huge knife through, that was a halted to the downside knife. That could absolutely happen again with this stock, and the float is 1 million, so very easy to see your unrealized profit go from green to red. So that's why I didn't take this one.
Real quickly here, Webcoin, appreciate you sharing this, Webcoin. No, when I called Schwab, they did not say there was any problem in the system, and my issue resolved during the call, so who knows? It sucks, because I don't know about you folks, but I don't like putting money on the line or putting money at risk if I don't feel good about being able to have my orders filled. Like if I click the button, I want the order filled, right?
Yeah. So you're having a problem? Hold on, I'm not showing a problem. Get it fixed. No, everything's fine. That's support over there for you.
What I would say here is if you are still going to trade, even with some of these issues, the intermittent issues, maybe lowering size so you really don't get yourself hurt. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than being in a crappy position that was happened because there was a tech problem. That's like crappy. Joe here, or Joe.
Yes, sir.
I know I'm doing my best. Jay Rice mentioning Chewy, woof woof, new 52-week highs here today. Trim and trail. This has been a good one here. You actually look like you have a possible breakout and a move above 40.
NVNI still looking like this may go lower. Upper shadows abound. I think VWAP may be the earliest support, but I don't know. This looks like it's going to come in some more.
This is NVNI you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, here's ALUR, this coming back in. We'll see where that goes. One quick question here. Martin is asking, holding WETH, and then you had a question mark. Yes, I am. And Martin, here's what I will say. I'm definitely disappointed with the reaction yesterday. I feel I just don't think anyone cares about this stock, which is part of its problem. But this stock having $9 in cash, I'm expecting some more news, but frankly, I would have liked to have seen this thing at least try to test 2 yesterday after that piece of news. I am still in it, haven't sold any of it. It hasn't worked yet, though.
What I've been doing with WETH is when it goes under my cost, I pick up a little bit more. And then when it goes back over it and has
sell
a
it
little a run, I just kind of sell what I picked up and just trade around that position.
Super smart.
It's been working out. I tried to get a fill at exactly 2. It didn't fill because that move up there when it happened was so quick. So sometimes even I don't get fills on some of these because they don't. The buyers don't have a large enough size at 2 to get through all the orders that are the sellers have up there. So unfortunately, I was a little bit further down the line.
Okay, real quick. Captain Cloudy saying Pan W hit 190. Ryan, are you still in? No, I am all out Pan W. I was out in 2 tranches. First one was 133%. The second one was 260%. So if that still goes higher, that's fine. I had mentioned cybersecurity, I think, is going to be a theme this year, and Pan W is my #1 pick and leader in there. This will not be my only Pan W trade, but I've already got some gains booked on that.
Rashima asking, what do you mean upper shadow? So on any candle, you have the real body, which is the large colored area, and then you have the wicks on the top and bottom. And when you have a wick that's significant size, like we have here, anytime you have a series of those in a row, that tends to be an indication that there's a short-term topping out that could end up even leading to a longer topping out. But it means a potential reversal is coming. So when we say upper shadows, that's what we're referring to as those long wicks on top, coming out with in one candle after the other, indicating that the sellers are putting more pressure on the buyers.
Okay, good stuff there. NVNI still strong, indeed. Smoke tuna. We do have some of these upper shadows that 13 was just talking about, but this is maintaining its strength. It's really not breaking down. It's giving time for the VWAP to catch up to the price.
Mm-hmm. But the volume does need to expand because right now I see it as contracting.
Yes. Yep. Kathy mentioning HIMX. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I didn't trade it. How's that doing here? Wow. Another leg up here, Kathy. HIMX. Did this have news? I didn't see any. No, nothing fresh here. Nice 13% day for HIMX though.
I just ran across SES. This was one from yesterday.
And someone actually asked about this morning. This was up in the pre-market. Someone asked about it, but what's going on here?
So the pre-market and into the regular session kind of takes on the shape of a little bit of a head and shoulders. It's a little wonky, so I don't want to say that that's exactly what we're seeing here, but we are trying to, the price is trying to turn around. And I would think that a move through 120 would be a good sign that it might have the strength to get through VWAP. It is looking like it's curling here, but I think this test here of recapturing 120 is going to be an indication to you if this is going to reverse and go higher.
Hey, EVAX, this is open and coming back in towards the VWAP on EVAX.
It popped higher initially. That was
wow. Yep.
So right into that consolidation area, I think that I outlined earlier today. Right, that's where we're in right now, between $8 and $8.40, $8.50. So this would be where the a resistance area would be. Now, if we get pushed out of this resistance, we're going to want to see the price hold VWAP because if it does that, there's a good shot of it coming back up and trying to break through that consolidation on the next trip up. And here we go. It's pulling back in now. So that is a consolidation area. That is an area of where supply is, where the sellers might step in and try to offload their bags.
Izzy mentioning the huge put buying above the ask in SPY right now. I actually have my ETFs turned off for the unusual option activity here, so I didn't see that here. But SPY is coming back off those highs there. What were those contracts? What were those big ones? An OKLO over 41, Hans, dude, this OKLO move or the nuke move recently and all of these stocks, look at this.
C-Spot says the market doesn't owe you predictable. Yes, the market doesn't owe you anything. You take what it gives you.
Yeah, that's right. And you're damn right about all of that.
A hot Ali. What do you think of Rocket Lab? I haven't looked to see what it's doing today, but that is going to be one of the direct competitors to SpaceX, particularly their Falcon 9 rockets when they actually get their Neutron rocket up and running. They have a launch port in New Zealand. They have a launch port that's exclusive to the U.S. government, and I believe it's Virginia. And they are trying to get their Neutron rocket online with at that same port. I think that at this particular stage, they are overvalued, but I also believe that they have the opportunity to grow into that valuation. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did have some, selling off in off the price that it's at, because it's had just a crazy run since October. But I still think long term, Rocket Lab is going to be a good company to have. I just don't think that for the investment, I would be jumping into it right now. Hope that's enough.
EVAX, by the way, this did push higher here. How's ELAB doing? Get on here.
So we got a little bit more volume. That is pushing. Next upside targets for EVAX. I have 930 and 970.
Quantum Izzy, thank you. Wow. So Quantum, you were saying the Feb 21st 579 put. They bought 3,500 contracts. And then Izzy, you were saying the March contract to 600 put, 1.7 million premium. Definitely some. EVAX, by the way, continuing to move higher. 9 tests now, EVAX. Wow.
There it is. They're squeezing out those shorts.
Not a bad morning so far, though.
Grim Biscuit saying EVAX to pre-market high. I think you're saying it's going to go to pre-market high, which I have at 11. At this stage, it looks like it could. It really does.
Sure does.
Let's see.
I wouldn't chase this move for a new trade. I'd be looking for a pullback setup. I want to be. I have FOMO, but I'm not going to do it there.
Look at the. You could maybe do a daily, but look at the weekly chart. I think that's going to give you a better indication of how high over 11 it might go, because we got to 11. That was a nice psych number. And I'm looking at a weekly chart, and what really stands out to me is like 1130.
How about a gap fill up to $21?
A gap fill?
We must be talking about a different stock. I'm talking about EVAX, EVAX.
I am. Maybe I don't see it
on the daily.
Yeah, I'm on the daily.
Is something wrong with my screen?
Let me look on. It might be a little bit different between my broker and Pro. Let me take a look here.
Just look at the stream here.
I know. Okay, let me see here. Sorry.
This might halt at 927 here. Halted EVAX, halted to the upside, 927. There's actually a bid above here that I see on my tree at 929. Good Lord.
Okay. It's, what is that, the 13th? No, that's the 10th of January. Sorry, this is just a little bit different from what I've got here.
Yeah, I mean, I see this clear as day. It dropped from Friday to Monday, and that created a huge gap from 22 down to 4. Anyway, I'm going to keep looking around.
Super Scam saying PLTR. Did that actually hit 80 yet? Yes, it did. It went over it.
PLTR. So much for waiting for a pullback on that one.
It got one earlier this month. How much of a move down was that off the highs? Let's see here. Well, I mean, you could say it corrected. That's a 25% move off the highs from December 24th.
ALUR continuing to trade up here. Just scalped it again. Let's go.
Angela mentioned
NASDAQ pulling. Okay, I'm gonna do hands off for a sec while I see what the market is doing. SPY and the NASDAQ are pulling here.
Well, we are, how many 100% runners did we have today? I think we had 3 at one point.
Well, here, I can help you with that. We'll consult our handy dandy Benzinga Pro here. In the pre-market, we had 2 100% runners, one 355, one 102, EVAX up there at 87%. If we flip over to the regular session, we currently have 3 100% runners, ALUR, EVAX, and NVNI. ELAB here, 62%.
So when we get these multiple 100% runners, we've seen this before. We saw it when the last time we had a pull off of the 607.09 level, or the 609.07 level. It was, whatever the previous high was. We were also getting a lot of really, really junky names, seeing multiple hundreds of percent runs. Like 300, 500. I think some of them were getting up to 1,000% on. And they had no business being up there. So if we start to see more of that, that could be indicative that we're going to have a market top and we could turn around again.
Real quick here, ALUR halted to the upside 1129.
Really? That's interesting because it still hasn't broken through that 65 EMA. We've just been consolidating. Still hasn't been back to VWAP yet. Out of this halt, I'd want to see a breakthrough VWAP.
And I don't know if you remember, but when we talked about this before, the last halt, you said the same thing. And you said, I believe you said, I would be a little worried coming out of this halt, and it fell. Yeah. Now we're right back at the same spot, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's just the volume isn't looking great. The MACD is looking better. It's spread, so you could get this, really quick move up over VWAP and then back in because some poor soul decided to market order this at and get caught with a really high price from a seller. That could be what happens, but I don't. I'm just speculating at this point. We just need to see a recapture of VWAP, or I think there's more downside.
SOUN, this actually popped and went a little bit higher here.
Is it bouncing around like it did yesterday?
What's that? Oh. Sorry.
Oh, it's over 17 now. Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it is bouncing around.
Oh, yeah. This thing is such a good trading vehicle. Maybe it gets up to like 1785. Let's see. When was that? That was on the 22nd, so Wednesday, in the pre-market, just after it opened. It got as high as 1787. So we're kind of headed up in that direction. It looks like we could scallop right through this. So we'll just watch for some increased volume as it approaches the 1780s. Okay, so waiting for Allure to unhalt, waiting for EVAX to unhalt. I think EVAX unhalts before Allure does, right?
Yes. And that is by a minute and a half, minute 20 seconds.
AI Rod mentioning Go EV. That's Canoe, right? Okay, here we go. EVAX open. Higher, and then it pulled. Oh man, this thing's a bullwhip.
Whip it good.
Yep.
I can't even believe I said that.
Speak your mind, friend.
Fairchild, this is sweet. Watch and listen to the X stream, and I popped the window for YouTube chat out due to the stream delay. So you're telling me that the delay is less on X than it is on YouTube? Interesting data point. File that in the pro column for X.
Musk must be making real good use of all those NVIDIA chips he bought. I know it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
It was a joke. Wasn't funny.
I think all your jokes are funny.
NVNI, this thing is really okay. So the upper shadows didn't lie again. We're losing VWAP. MACD looks like it's going to cross to the downside. Earliest area support 280. If we lose that, 230.
I'll turn the view up back on here. 230. That's your 65 EMA on the 5.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
I'm happy, kind of just sitting back and looking for setups because,
Yeah, so I had just said I'm going to be hands off for a little bit because NASDAQ and SPY were pulling. It looks like, at least temporarily here, that has stopped. So we're trying to bounce on both of those. SPY is a little bit more successful in the bounce there. Looking at market breadth here, SPY and Dow are both negative. Qs, Russell, and Nice all positive. SPY is barely negative too. That's almost flatline in terms of the breadth. By the way, ONDS, we back from the dead. We back from the dead. It held 2 again. Let's just go to 3 and make everyone happy. ONDS, and come on. ALUR looks like that is open here. This one trying to go higher this time.
This is what we need to see. We need to see this get over VWAP, or we're going lower, I believe.
So I've got VWAP at 1218 and then 1204 in my broker.
I've got it at 1221, so not that far away. It looks like SES. I mean, the volume isn't great, but it doesn't have too bad of a setup. I'd be watching for a move through VWAP. Let's see if I can get the volume to chew through consolidation. It's not a great set. It's okay setup, but the volume just sucks. So I'm not sure this would work. And there's something I'm seeing. Sorry.
Chewy, look at the Chewy continuing higher here. Jay, nice job. In fact, Jay, registering, man. Chewy pushing higher here.
Everybody mentioned.
I don't trade Chewy enough. That's one of the things that I've come to realize. I don't trade it enough.
But you use it.
Yeah, I use it all the time. MBIS, by the way, this absolutely ripping. We need Lion and Godfather cage match yesterday. We need that as soon as possible. MBIS here also approaching its. This is like 60%. It just went off the screen here, but next time there we go. Nope. Next time it comes back here, it's almost at its average volume here. It's traded 4 million shares. It on average trades 7. We might hit that. ALUR at the VWAP now. Let's see what happens here, folks.
EVAX halted to the downside. Remember, this has a million share float. Very easy to get trapped in this. So we're approaching VWAP out of the halt, and if we don't get a support from that, which is about it's at 763 for me. I think this is going to be done for the day. Might come back later on in the afternoon, but it's probably going to be done for the morning.
ALUR through the VWAP with some pretty good authority here.
This is what you wanted to see with this one.
Not in it, unfortunately, for this scalp. But that's okay.
Now we just need to see this candle close above VWAP. There's still 2 minutes left in it. You could still see this thing pull.
Smoke Tuna saying ALUR might give $1 move, but it doesn't see much more than that. It looks like we might be back testing that VWAP level too.
I could see that. I could see it running up to 1440 and get rejected. That would be my the highest I'd allow it. I'm just skeptical, especially with this volume. It's very spready. 3 million share float. I believe that's what it was. Yeah, 2.72 million.
NVNI here. Maybe this holds on to 3 NVNI. Lion says, I'm an ex-kickboxer. I don't think Godfather will last 1 minute with me. If I'm not mistaken, he is both a Krav Maga and a Taekwondo black belt. Lion.
All right, you guys. Enough of this.
I'm that's not
enough of this.
I'm making that up. I'm literally trying to stoke a rumor fire to get Lion upset. I have no idea if he does martial arts.
Settle it in the market. sell him your stocks.
I probably shouldn't even do that without anyone's permission. I'm just trying to have some fun. And
here's the big concern with Allure.
There's the pull.
Yep. So there's removed up through VWAP. Had to hold that for the next 2 minutes. Still have 20 seconds left in it. Not looking good.
At least you guys found that funny. At least you guys found that funny instead of getting mad at me. That helps. Like I said, it's a frisky Friday here. What do you want me to say? It's wine night. I can't wait to open a bottle of red tonight. Oh my God. Okay, what are we looking at? Oh, we're looking at Ondas continuing to trade higher. Wink. Let's go. I think I missed something here from. There was a stock I wanted. It was Apple. Who was this?
Oh yes, there was a gentleman asking about.
Yeah,
Apple.
I want to get his name right. Jag. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to get this right. Good morning, Ryan and 13. Good morning, Jag. I am assuming that means just a guy. What's your take on Apple since the earnings is coming up and it's at a key level? Well, let's take a look here at Apple. If there's something crazy going on, ALUR might be trying to bounce here. If something crazy going on, you can scream and I'll go check it out. Got to click on the daily chart. Here's your daily chart on Apple. So the key level that you're mentioning here is the hold of the 200. And I'll be quite honest with you, I actually wanted this to test the 200. I wanted it to print on the 200, and it never did. And I'd still like to see that. So if it does this before earnings, that'd be great. Now, full disclosure here, the way I handle this, I have a long-term position in Apple from 2014. Its split adjusted cost basis is like $26. There's no way that I'm selling that or doing anything around these earnings unless they announce that they're no longer going to produce the iPhone. Short of that, I'm going to hold on to that. Now, trading around this position, I don't necessarily have a feel here. I will say, though, if this really kind of holds above the 200, I might put a few shekels on some calls because we've had some recent news about channel checks not going all that great, demand being soft, blah, 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 blah. And as I've told you before, since I've been following those stock, almost every one of those has produced a buying opportunity. So I don't have a trading position for earnings. My long-term position is not going to be affected by this earnings print. But what I want to see here in terms of the key level that you mentioned is, can we actually hold this 200 day? Better still, actually, I mean, this is 6 days away, so this would have to happen fast. But if this dipped below the 200 and then recaptured it in short order and closed above it, I'd actually feel even better about some calls for that. Did you have anything you wanted to cover here on Apple?
I feel like let's see, did we actually close that gap? It doesn't look like we did. The gap that we created from the 17th to the 21st, forgot that we had that MLK Day. It seems like we didn't exactly fill that gap. And I think if it does try to trade up to 230, I'd be watching for a move over 230. And if it doesn't come, then I think it's going to go back down and maybe even lose the 200. We do have, like you said, 6 days before they report their earnings. The support right now looks okay, and the RSI is pretty low. So it does, have a lot of good indicators of a coming reversal. but I need to see that price action at 230. I'm I'm not sure, and I have concerns about supply chains, market share in China. How is the rollout in India going? There's a lot of things, a lot of question marks I have. So I think that there's an argument to be made on both sides at this stage, but I need to see 230 get taken out.
Jag, let me know if that answers your question. Super. Dude, this is not what we want to hear. Dang, thanks for talking about EVAX right into a trap. I'm effed. This is exactly why you need to have your own trade plan. You can't just be buying and selling what we're talking about, especially given the delay that we talk about every single day. What I will say here, we've seen you trade. We know you can claw it back. We know you can claw it back. Keep your head up, boss.
Let's see what we got here.
NVNI bounced off 3, trying to reclaim its VWAP. NVNI, ALUR bounced back to the VWAP and was swatted back down.
ELAB losing a key level here. This may end up going down to the low.
Oh, ELAB, sorry.
Yeah, not EVAX, ELAB. Yeah. This one just never really did anything this morning after hitting that 487 high in the pre-market, which you could probably even say that looks like a double top there. If there's going to be any kind of support coming, it's either going to be here where the price is at now or just under 250. Beyond that, you have the where the price has been consolidating for a while, just beneath 2 or at 2, and that's about the only other support you've got.
Look at Serve, Jay Wild, dude. I'm sorry I didn't get to this earlier. Look at this consolidation around VWAP and then a spring away from it. Man, is that good.
And Lion Atlas, you're absolutely correct. No innovation in the last 10 years. They really, really were so far behind with that headset that it just didn't even make sense. Nobody wanted that expensive piece of hardware. And man, I mean, they really missed the boat on a lot of things and to gain an edge in the innovation space. They should have come out with, they should have been doing the whole Ray-Ban thing before Meta did. Meta's beating them.
And I don't know if did you ever listen to that Zuckerberg Rogan pod?
No.
Okay, so on that pod, he actually talked about those glasses, and when he was complaining about Apple, one of the things he said is that their team reached out to Apple and said, "Hey, let us connect these glasses over the same protocol as the AirPods," and they were like, "No." And that apparently, the way Mark was explaining it, take everything Mark says with a grain of salt, but the way Mark was explaining it was that the protocol that the AirPods use is basically like plain text, like it's not really secured at all. And the way that they manage the security is by only allowing Apple devices to connect through the protocol and all of this. It was really fascinating. He basically was like, Apple freezes out products like those Meta Ray-Bans by making it more difficult to just simply connect to a phone, whereas the Apple thing just kind of does it automatically. So not only did they not do the right glasses project 13, but the good ones that people want are not even great to connect to the actual Apple ecosystem. And I'll say from my own experience, the Apple Intelligence, I'm trying to figure out a good way to use it. I haven't yet.
Some folks earlier were mentioning a mover from yesterday, KOPN. This having a nice morning. Good trading technicals here. The initial pop up, you get a little bit of cooling, found support from the pre-market highs, blasting back up over 2, breaking a trend in the process. Really nice stuff here. Where does this end up going? Let's see. Yesterday the high was 205. That's potential area, and I can see from my ladder here there's quite a bit of sellers at 205 as well. Maybe there's some resistance there, unless we see some volume expansion that takes that out. That happens. Where are my next upside targets here? I mean, there's a lot of indicators suggesting that just above 2 might be a top, but, and this is big but, if that breaks through 205 and has a good amount of volume, this may end up just going right to 3.
NVNI right here at the VWAP, folks.
NVNI trying to recapture my VWAP anyway.
This I have VWAP at 318 in my broker, 319 in TradingView, and it just tried to push away from that. Could not get a fill there. I actually tried to trade that there.
Now, if it's over my VWAP, and if it continues to push up, I think I would maybe be a seller around 350. That's, because we just had that consolidation up there. We do know that there are sellers up there. So unless we get the volume that takes those out, I think the sellers are going to step in again and push it right back down. So that would be where I would exit.
And super, no one is saying that you shouldn't comment. You're saying most of my comments are in good fun. How am I supposed to know? No one here wants to see other chatters lose money. That's what you were talking about. No one wants to see that. Yeah, no.
I run into this problem with text messaging all the time. It's
no, dude, no. Don't take it like that. That's no good. Yeah, your big butt comment is drawing some chatters. We'll just leave it at that.
I cannot lie.
NVNI 330 just popped it there. They actually took a bit off there.
Well, wisdom with this, this with ALUR treatment, your butt would not only be just fine with Ozempic, but it might be well toned. Let's move away from the butt talk.
Yeah, I love how you just had to throw that in there right at the end. And then you're like, let's move away
because it's topical. We're trading. He brought up Ozempic. We're trading a company that is a GLP-1 that's combating wasting. It's topical. And VNI still trying to get back above that VWAP. Actually, we just had that candle close. Now we're above VWAP. Still thinking that if I were in this, that 350 would be my exit if you can even get up there. Volume just doesn't look great to me. What's
2 penny stocks at the top of the list here? That NVNI, that worked. I'm pissed I didn't get that through the VWAP there.
There'll be lots of stuff to trade on Monday.
RCAT, nice move here in RCAT. Who's trading this one today?
Rigetti, it looking like it's trying to take out the 1555 high it made today.
Angela saying, I'm taking NVIDIA calls here. Might be Angela buying into the weakness. Looks like it held 140 there. And you know what, Angela? Wait a sec. Let me go back to my bigger chart. You might be onto something. You might be onto something. You might be onto something. Yeah, pre-market lows right there at 146. Okay, NASDAQ bouncing here. What do you think, Angela? Are you looking for what? VWAP higher, 150? What are you thinking here on NVIDIA? I like the area that you're buying those calls into on NVIDIA. And NVNI continuing to go. FOMO. Damn you, not filling order.
Well, it's coming right up to where I'd want to sell if I were in this.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to chase it. That's for sure.
Let's see if I'm right about that.
Crow saying NNE and OKLO just stunning. Indeed, that was incredible. Those moves were incredible. And again, I'm not going to complain because I absolutely murdered PanW and murdered Nike, and I'm still murdering Nike. And I did well on Schlumberger, the Anne Marie trade that she gave out.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
so I'm not complaining, but man, I did miss those nuke moves.
I gotta address vintage tool restorations. You'd be surprised. It is on my birth certificate. That's not a joke.
Nope.
All right.
And some people have asked where the Lord Ryan nickname comes from. I also have a certificate that outlines my lordship. NVNI, guys, NVNI, halt, 407, what a pump.
Big old.
What a pump. It's not halted yet. Sorry, that was right at a halt level. It's not halted yet.
Big old volume. Right through all that consolidation.
This is going to halt here at 407. Lordy.
So I would have been out early there. It's still not halted yet.
Yeah. That's too early halt. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. It was too early halt calls on. I'll be better. I'll be better.
Gosh, now it's still going higher. Okay, so this is let's see, my target, the stupid target was like 595.6. Still looking possible now.
Oh my gosh, these stupid targets. Sometimes, how many times
It gets stupider.
Well, how many times is this going to happen before I actually learn my lesson and leave a trailer on? I mean, I don't give a damn if the trailer's 50 shares at this point. It's just like, damn, dude. This is a good move, though. At least we got something here. An ONDS highs. Lift highs. Yeah, sorry for yelling there. I got really pumped up.
No, it's okay. You could tell you were slightly excited.
I know. Angela, by the way, I really appreciate you on that technical analysis regarding NVIDIA. I had asked you if you were looking for 150. It looks like you confirmed that, saying, yeah, it looks like 150 here. And then the other level that you mentioned, it needs to break 146.53. That's going to be right in here. NVIDIA turning back down to the lows here. Let's see if it bounces. This is their pre-market low on NVIDIA, 145.5.
That was awesome. Look at Marcus Sniper. He nailed that the NVNI trade, but he said it was scary.
Hey, that's how you're a sniper. You're a sniper. Let's go. Do not look away. Strong stocks when they are weak. I think you mean buy stocks when they are weak. I like Captain Faloona. I see you on the high seas at the helm. I'm not much of a boater. I'm not a captain. I wouldn't mind that moniker. That would be sweet. By the way, whoever mentioned, I think it was Steve. Steve, didn't you call the reversal on SPY on that 610 push that we went to highs? You said the SPY was falling and reversing. We continue to come back in now. That was a really good call too. Nice Ryan, what work did you do on PanW? What do you mean? I didn't actually work for the company. I just trade it. It's my favorite. No, Smoke Tuna, of course we know what you mean, what you said. You give us great advice all the time.
Ooh. Looks like some of the nuclear names not having a good time.
They're not? They've been gangbusters.
I said some of them, like NNE, that just had a big knife. Could took out.
Actually, OKLO did knife off the highs there. Okay. Right. Captain Cloudy says, Ryan, you're the captain. You're the captain now, Captain Cloudy. Man, Ryan, if I was that close to the lake, I'd be sailing all the time. I prefer mountains to bodies of water.
I don't have any active trades. What are we all looking at right now?
I don't have any active day trades either. I'm literally like... Angela's got my gears turning right now. She's got me thinking about a possible NVIDIA bounce play here. And the longer I see it hold this, the more I think she might be onto something, especially if this market doesn't continue to break down. Maybe this sets up for an afternoon pump. And I don't have any position on this.
How do you feel about Bank of Japan raising their rates?
First time since 2008, since the global financial crisis.
Yeah. Potentially sets up another one of those yen carry trade unwinds.
Ooh, look at this. You were right, Izzy. Good call on this news here. This came out. Yeah, this came out during the market hours. Adoption of drone as a service industry explodes along rising revenue opportunities in the billions. Mentions some of the tickers that we have been talking about here: Xena, UMAC, SPAI, and obviously Ondas. Didn't I say this morning in the pre-market that I was expecting more news on ONDS? Pretty sure I said that. Maybe we can go back and check the tape.
So they just contract all those other companies to...
Well, no, this looks like kind of a generic... let me read the release here. and I'm sorry for reading. I try not to do this. I try not to read with the screen that I'm sharing here, so we can at least have some action. But if you guys see something that you need me to check out or a setup that we need to take a look at, just holler.
I'm just looking at Tesla because somebody was asking me about that. I'll give you my thoughts on it in just a moment here. Taking a look at something. Yeah. This has been having a hard time staying above the 20-day SMA, especially this week. I don't know if I can offer too much about, about right here. It is at pretty close to this 216, 217 area where I have a fib. It's also trading beneath the 20-day SMA. Seems every day for the past few days, it tries to push up over the 20-day SMA and gets rejected and pushed right back down. If we cannot close above the 20-day SMA by early next week, I'd say that this is going to come right into the 50 again.
Sorry, which stock? I can bring it up here. I'm done reading.
This is Tesla.
Oh, good old Tesla.
Yes, Tesla.
That drone news seems really good, honestly.
Looks like EVAX is trying to recapture VWAP. NVNI. So after that big move up, we have a big move down. But
not quite to the VWAP though.
Right. It's getting support from that bottom area of the consolidation that we had earlier this morning. Looks like ELAB is also trying to come back up. I'm not so sure about this one unless we see the volume expand, because the regular session today has established a little bit of a supply zone from about 305 to 365.
Angela saying, I know the chairman of ONDS. Are you talking about Eric or are you talking about someone else? It's a great long-term hold. See, Angela? Me too. OUST. Who was it that was OOST? I feel like there was a person in here that was trading this a lot. And I joked about it because it's a funny ticker to say.
For some reason, whenever I see Oust, I think of the Oster toasters.
The Ost. Oh, yeah. It's Oster, I believe.
Oster, I think, yeah,
the
right.
Oster brand toast. I had one in my kitchen for 20 years growing up in my mom's house.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. That's in your head now.
Oh, yeah. I use a air fryer now, pretty much, instead of a toaster or a toaster oven. Air fryers are just FT dubs.
Excellent, Lion Atlas. Thank you. He's mentioning Cooler and Saidu. These are both the space themed plays. Cooler up 5% today. SIDU up 6 and 2/3. What are they getting some news soon or now or what's happening here? It looks like the high. They've already made some highs today. At least Cooler has. What has SIDU done? Yeah, they had 302 is the high out of the open. You're looking for them to get some movement here soon. It's okay, Fairchild. We get the pronunciations of these things wrong all the time.
Yeah, and I goof around, by the way, when I'm not actually correcting anybody. If I know what you mean, I'm just kind of goofing around. Like my favorite is the subsequent versus subsequent. I just think it's funny. There's nothing wrong with it. I know exactly what's going on, and I'm not correcting my friend. I'm laughing with him, even if he's not laughing.
I'm smiling. That's enough.
There you go. There you go. NVNI did not quite get to its VWAP here, but it is trying to kind of hold in there and bounce.
Yeah, I did see that Cooler had news yesterday. I was just seeing that you had mentioned both those now. I was just wondering if there was like an anticipated move coming.
Kevin here. First of all, appreciate you and all your support, Kevin. And I love that you send me stuff that sometimes I miss while I'm doing something else on X. Big shout out to you. Ryan, reading reading it, the articles out loud was a great option. Please continue doing it. Are you referring to the morning when we were kind of going over some of those news stories, and I was actually reading some of those articles, or reading the article or reading the press release? What exactly are you referring to? Always interested in feedback. Stepper asking here, thoughts on Tempest AI? That's ticker TEM. This was awesome. Okay. I traded this several times here this week. I actually took a small loss on this, clawed it back, and then made several other good trades on this. Remember, this had the Pelosi Pelosi. That's what we call her around these parts now, Nancy Pelosi. She apparently bought a whole bunch of options on this, right? Yeah, Nancy Pelosi discloses buy of Alphabet, Amazon, and more, and sells Apple. Tempest was one of those. So I don't have any experience with the company itself. Lion here is saying it's a good company. I'll tell you this, from trading, I've traded this just a handful of times now. It's been good to me. I like it. No current position, though. Ticker TEM.
One thing that I'm seeing here with Palantir, it may not be anything, but we've seen it work before on the SPY. When we topped out here from December 24th and 25th, those two candles, even though they had pretty different days, the close was almost the same. So in the low 82 area. Let's see here. It was this close was 82.38, and then the next day was 82.14. So maybe somewhere around 82.25. If we trade up to there today, which we're almost at, that could be a resistance area. So kind of price action we get up there around 82.25.
AB is saying, can you please tell me how I can day trade, buy and sell the same stock in one day without getting the wash rule on my profits? Yes, AB, you can talk to your accountant and you can apply for the mark-to-market registration, right? So you have to actually declare being mark-to-market, and then they basically will just tax you on the starting and ending balance of your account. You're going to have to pay quarterly. You have to pay your taxes quarterly. This is one way that you can do this. What I'm going to leave you with is, before you do any of this, please don't listen to some guy on YouTube. Go talk to a professional accountant or financial advisor and make sure that this is the route that you want to go. But this is an option that is available to you.
Yes, we recommend certified fiduciaries. Talk to them.
Oh, Tim Fairchild, shoot me an email, bro. I'll help you.
Yeah, bro, he absolutely is. And thankfully, because his wife is in Congress, we get to see all the trades he's doing.
I like how you just... Oh, that's good. NVNI, by the way, while you were talking there, NVNI actually pumped to new highs there. I have 438 at NVNI on this most recent move up. Yeah. You're welcome, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of consolidating right now, isn't it? Still holding above that, the bottom of the consolidation area from earlier this morning.
Thinking about it, saying, aren't you some guy on YouTube? Yes. And what I'm saying is we're going to try and share as many experiences and helpful things as we can. But he's asking about something extremely serious, and I don't want him to take advice from some random guy on the internet. I'll be honest with you, I definitely want to see all of you succeed. But AB, my primary goal when I wake up is not being financially responsible for you. So talk to a professional. Talk to somebody that's licensed and can help you. You want to make sure that you understand all of what's going to happen if you make those elections. So just all I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with talking to a pro. 13, you talk about it all the time with financial advisors. It's never a bad idea. The whole goal of this show is to help you guys learn things. Hopefully you'll make some money, and hopefully you'll have some fun. I'm not going to sit here and blow sunshine up your rear end about being able to turn you into a millionaire and fix problems and do all of this stuff. The reality is that you have to do that on your own. And there is going to be a time in your journey where consulting a professional is the right option. And I feel like in this case, that's the right option.
I talk to my financial advisor frequently, and I speak to my CPA maybe 4 times a year.
There you go.
Used to be a lot more, but don't need to talk to him as much for reasons.
Britt saying, does anyone know what's involved in filing? See, here's the thing. Like that's a good follow-up question. I don't know the answer. Talk to the tax guy. That's what I did. I mean, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, just make sure that you do it the right way and understand your decision.
DJT with a couple of nice candles over the past 10 minutes.
Did you say DJT?
I did.
I feel like we haven't looked at that in a few days here.
Yeah, it's trying to push right up to near the intraday high.
NVNI coming back in towards that VWAP.
Wow, that thing has just got such big movement. What?
I don't want to repeat it because I just don't want it to get clipped and have me get in trouble. But Wisdom's comment, just Wisdom, you just are in the habit of making everyone laugh every day, and for that I thank you.
He's sharing his wisdom.
Britt's response: Wisdom, what? Go on. Sounds like that would get me in trouble. Okay, try to dial it back to some seriousness here. I'm so appreciative of all of you. These guys just make my day better every day. I hope I can return the favor, honestly.
Got to mention on Diz here, the interesting thing about this is that this is breaking a pretty massive trend in addition to pushing over the 50-day SMA. Close above this would look bullish.
Fubo, really good push there. Here, you're talking DIS, right? Ticker DIS, Disney?
Yeah, I think you can see where the trend is.
Yeah, no question. And actually, if we wanted to, we could probably draw this on here, right?
And yeah, and we're breaking out, and we're of two levels there, that trend line and the 50. That's we want to see that close if we're bullish on Disney. And I don't know if there's news with Disney or with Fubo, but remember they have a deal, so they may move together. Looking at a streetcar wants us to look at TNXP.
If this is a penny stock,
It is.
I'll let you handle it then.
What does this company even do? It's a biotech. Well, I'll say this. The fact that it's under $1 likely means it's going to have to do some kind of reverse split. Look at that float, 186. Reverse split candidate here jumps off my screen. What's their cash position like? Doesn't look too bad. 28 million on the balance sheet. They lose about half that. Well, they lost half that last quarter. They seem to have different types of losses over the course of their history. I don't even know what this company does. Let me see here.
TNXP volume at about half of its average. Lion Atlas saying, I'm going to try and buy a house next to Nancy Pelosi. That way I can ask her every day what the ticker for. You're going to be out there mowing your lawn every day being like, hey, what stocks are you looking at today? I could see that. Just be sure you let the group know here.
So for TNXP, this is one where you're going to have to pay attention to what's in the pipeline. I don't think there's anything really exciting to get anything to get excited about, fundamentally here. This company does really look like it needs to do a reverse split because it's not going to trade very well with this kind of share structure. But they do have news here from last year saying that they have some goals on phase 3 studies. They have a target date for PDUFA of August 25th this year for an FDA decision. That's for marketing approval for their.
What was that PDUFA date? Did you just said?
That is that's their goal date of August 15th.
Okay, so this summer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to this one, I wouldn't hold this until if I was going to even try to trade some of those catalyst movements. I wouldn't even touch this until we get closer to that, or if I would have to do some serious research into their pipeline and when we can expect to see some announcement on clinical trial results, because that's what's going to move this. I don't really think a whole lot of other things are going to move it. Maybe the capital of following a capital raise, maybe they do a reverse split and that causes it to trade better. But for me, this is not one I would touch right now.
All right, NVNI here. This is trying to do another push. Looks like it's getting trapped in this triangle, though. We'll see. And folks, we will be, so no Anne-Marie today. Anne-Marie actually has a family issue that she's handling, so no Anne-Marie today, but we're in luck because the wonderful Sandra is here today, and we're going to go to that in just a few minutes here, folks. We hope to have Anne-Marie back next week.
We hope that everything is going all right with her and her family.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, oh, hey, look, Lunar just recaptured VWAP not that long ago. This might be setting up to do something, but hey, volume looks low in a lot of these names. I don't have any open positions. I might just, put my feet up and start my weekend because I don't want to hold anything accidentally going into the weekend. Although ELAB is looking a little bit enticing, but maybe it gets rejected around VWAP. We'll see.
What's the adult beverage of choice tonight for you on a Friday like today?
What does the wall say?
What does the wall say? Let's go.
What does the wall say?
I'm just glad you didn't say what does the fox say.
Yeah, that's the wall over there. I don't know. What's it saying? It's saying a Dalmore kind of day, is a Macallan or Balvenie.
Okay, so Scotch then.
Yeah.
Toronto, Ryan, when will you be back online again today? Well, I'm working a full day here, so I'll be around. I just have other stuff to do. Our shows are over for the day, though. Shows are when I say our, I mean me and 13. Like I mentioned, we're going to Sandra here next.
I appreciate this from thinking about it. He's giving us an update on Lunar. There's a February 26th launch. So that could be another catalyst worth watching and positioning yourself for Lunar if you're going to play that. Lagavulin is on the shelf. I have a few of those, including the Nick Offerman edition. I had to try that.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds expensive and awesome. Okay, 13, we're going to go over to Sandra here. Any closing words for the group?
Yes, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. It was a wonderful day. Had a great week trading with y'all. Let's have another good week, a full week. For the second time in over a month, and let's get some good trades going. I'll see you then, folks. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, it sounds really good. 13, great stuff as always this week. Have a good one, man. Enjoy whichever Scotch you select tonight. All right, 13's departure gives room for Sandra. Sandra, thank you very much, by the way, for filling in here for Anne-Marie. We really appreciate it. How are you doing on this Friday?
Good. Getting ready to rock and roll and have some fun this weekend.
I am getting ready to rock and roll too. I got a Chicago Blackhawks game tonight. I'm pulling a cork on a nice Alexander Valley red cab tonight. So it's going to be a good one. We're gonna have a good time.
Okay, so you're a wine drinker.
Wine and whiskey. All right, Sandy, let's get involved. Options trading made simple with Sandy.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's get to the charts. I hope everyone's having a good trading day. Looking at the market, just kind of, we ended up gapping up just a little bit today, coming right back down. And SPY, just kind of flat right now. So as we look at the Qs was looking good and strong this morning, just like SPY. And you can see this vertical trend line here. I'm on a 15-minute chart looking at this vertical trend line. And you could see how, we often talk about fake outs, right? So oftentimes when we hit resistance or support, price is going to be kind of a magnet towards it. And you can see for these last, during these 3 15-minute candles, you can see how many times we touched that resistance trend line. And then all of a sudden broke back down below it. Now on a 15-minute, we're still above the 20 EMA. And I love using that as my reversion to the mean. So we're right back there. And then we often, you could see that I have some consolidation bands. And what these bands do is just kind of show me on any time chart, where price is just kind of consolidating And I'm really looking for a breakout or a breakdown during this consolidation. This is something that you can utilize, using your indicators, right, as trigger points to either break above or break down for a possible trade, either be a day trade or a swing trade. When I'm looking at this on a 15-minute chart on the Qs here, you can see that we're almost breaking below it as we speak. My indicator here is showing, 531.78. We already broke that. But I'm looking at my consolidation bands for, supporting evidence, right? Or confluence, as they say in the trading industry. And so as I look here and I'm looking at 531.33, you can see that if we break below that, and I could just say 531 as an example, just to pad it a little, right? If we break below 531, we're going to go to 530.50. And if we break below that, we're going to 528.42. So this really helps during automation if you want to utilize triggers to get into a trade. Just this morning, we live trade and train every morning at the Trading Made Simple Discord. And, one of my coaches was saying, oh gosh, this just triggered through and I didn't see it. I should have automated the trade. And that's exactly right. If you can use the automation tools that you have on your platform, oh gosh, it's just going to really change the way that you do your homework, the way you look at trades. You're not going to have all these alerts, popping off, and then you not taking advantage of those alerts because they just become desensitized, right? And so this really allows you then just to be able to get yourself into a trade as well as identify maybe a profit target or as well as a stop loss so that you can minimize your risk on the trade, right? Keeping your capital. So as you could see right now on the Qs, we are breaking below that 531.33 area. That little area is actually a zone. It's not a straight line across the board. Because it is a zone and because we recognize that price will basically create a lot of fake outs during these consolidation areas, also leads me as an automator to pad my trades, right? So as we're talking about this and I say, oh, 531.33, well, if I pad it and say, okay, 531, if it breaks below 531, that's below that zone. And if I wasn't actually watching the chart, I could feel really confident with my automation skills to say, hey, we got below that zone and I'm taking a really good trade here. You could see that momentum too, by the way. I love momentum. You could see that momentum is on a 15-minute is breaking below that zero line. That's really allowing us to know that, the Qs are breaking down here. Now, I'd really like to see this actually kind of fluctuate down steeper versus kind of just hovering below or right at that zero line. Because again, that too, as you can see right here, creates little fake outs, right? So I always like to say that if you can get momentum below the zero line and you can get price below the 20, and look at how it's hovering over at that 20, 531.39, and we're right there. That's a magnet as well, fake out zone. So if we can get momentum below the zero, you can get price below the 20. These two confluences really create a nice supporting analysis for a short. And so on any time frame, if you're looking at a chart, regardless of where you're at, you could do a 1 minute, a 5 minute, it doesn't really matter. If you're below the 20, then you're bearish for that time frame. If a momentum is below the zero line here on, let's say, the CCI as an example, then that is bearish for the time frame. So you just have to make sure, and look at this fake out zone, guys, on a 5 minute, as we were talking on a 15, you can see that price, right, getting below the 20. And then all of a sudden at that consolidation band is starting to bounce. So really, again, when you pad your trades or maybe even pad your analysis, right? So you're looking at a trend line or you're looking at some sort of level, last pivot, high or low. If you identify that this is not really a straight, thin line one little trigger zone. You need to actually identify that it's a zone. It's, it needs some room there. So in your mind, if you can pad it and identify a lower point, then it gives you, right, the momentum that you need to get through that price range if you're automating your trade. And if you're not automating your trade, then this is a great way to look at analysis and say, hey, I recognize that certain support and resistance zones, that price is going to magnate to it. And because of that, it's going to break it, come back up, break it, come back up, break it, come back up. And then you're in this trade and you're just losing your, your premium, your capital from that trade because it's just sitting there going sideways. When we buy straight call and puts, like, we're buying like if we were surfing, we're riding a shortboard. We want to go really fast. So, thinking about that and then creating your plan of action will really help you in that sense. And look how we're bouncing at a support zone here. And so that's why that 531 level was actually a better level, right, than the 531.33. Because as soon as it hit that little line, what did it do? It bounced back up. Why would you want to be in a trade just for it to either go against you or to go sideways for a period of time, right? That just totally, is not conducive to a happy trade day, as well as if you're like actually manually trading, manually trading and having to watch these candles like this on a 5-minute, on a 3-minute, on a 15-minute. Yeah, I can think of better things to do. In any event, let's take a look now. I actually wrote down a couple names that I was interested in looking at. Baba was one of them here. You can see that Baba's really taken off, had some institutional flow coming in, and was looking at the 100 range. That's interesting. But the contracts were out in March. So this would be a 100 call out in March. And you can see that even, as far as on a 15, right? Because this is a March play, looking at a 4-hour or maybe even a daily would be nice. And though they're giving themselves time, doesn't necessarily mean that we want to take that much time in a trade if we don't want to. But you could actually just take either 100 call. Let's take a look and see what would that cost us here. If we did a March 21, which is where the option flow is coming in, and then we took 100 call, let's see how much that would cost us. Not very much. $117 per contract. That's actually not bad. Let's take a look at the chart again here. On a daily, this looks really good. Just looking at some pivot highs and lows, and as well as the weekly expected move. The weekly expected move for Baba's high this week was 88.58. So getting kind of close to it. And its low is down here. And you can see that the indicator is actually trying to identify. In fact, let me get rid of that really quick. Trying to identify what next week's is going to be. And oftentimes when you look at some indicators, you need to recognize that some indicators actually do the calculation at the end of the week. So depending on your indicator, like my SVE pivots was on a weekly. And so what it's doing in that next bracket, it's just actually, it hasn't done its calculation. It's actually waiting for the close of the market today to do its calculation. So a lot of these indicators, like my weekly movement indicator, is actually waiting for today's close to give me the proper levels, right? And so that really kind of sets the tone for indicators. A lot of people say that they're lagging. Well, this one is actually waiting for the day to be complete for it to do its calculation to show you where next week's high and low is. How could that help you? Well, a lot of people, they actually did a study on this, and several companies have popped up utilizing a weekly high and low. And it, the where price closes today, basically this strategy, this trading strategy is about, hey, look, wherever we close today, as an example for the weekly expected move on Baba, let's say, if Monday we open up above today's close, then there's more probabilities to say that we're going to be heading towards next week's high. Now, if we break below today's close, then more probabilities to succeed that we're going to go lower towards the puts. Now, it makes total sense, right? And there could be a lot of sideways action in between. But clearly, if you don't have a plan of action, or you're not looking at price action based on weekly moves, then what is it based on exactly? And so, everyone having their own system, or at least having a system in place to help you identify price action, is very important. So I actually think BABA looks nice. Right now we're breaking out of the 100 zone. We still have plenty of movement to go, right? So I like this BABA play for this long-term March. Now you could get rid of that. You start getting a 50%, as an example, profit target or more. So I like BABA here. And then let me just check the 15 for a weekly. That looks really nice on a weekly. And then also an hourly. This looks good as well. Now, what happens when we get up here to the weekly expected move? Well, it acts as resistance, right? So if it acts as resistance and it holds as resistance, then the likelihood is that we could actually come back and drop down. So we have to be cognizant of that and have a plan of action, so that when Monday happens, we can make our decisions from there, whether we want to cut early or not. EWZ, this was interesting. So this, I saw some conviction coming in here for a 25. We're actually a 25 call. This is actually getting very close, so I'm not too interested in it. I actually like looking for the targets to be kind of out of the money. And so as I look at ARM here, holdings 170. So that's not bad. So they're looking for a gap fill up here for the next following week. I actually, on a 1 hour, I like that we're actually consolidating here for the last day and a half, but really doesn't really look too bullish here. On a 15-minute, still underneath the 20. On an hourly, we just broke above the 20. This could get some momentum here and start to rise. That's probably one I'll go back to. Let's take a look at gold. Gold puts, it says here, institutional flow for gold puts at 250. So that's like 5 points away. They actually have a short expiration date on this. January 31st, short expiration for gold puts at 250, excuse me. That actually doesn't look too bad on an hourly, but we still have strong momentum on a 15. Looking like they're really wanting this gap to fill right here. I'm not. Gold actually pumping today, looking strong. Just taking the flip side, right? The ebb and flow in the market. Looks like maybe the institutions are thinking that it already had a nice pump. Looks like I was looking at Mara at some point, really holding that trend line that I created that I don't remember doing. And this is one of the reasons too, by the way, when you do your analysis and you're like, oh, I'm going to come back to it. And then the problem is, and I don't have a trade on Mara. And so the problem is that if you're not going to automate your trade based on your analysis, right, then you've done all that analysis kind of for nothing. So maybe at the time I was looking at this and wasn't sure about it, but it certainly looks really good right now. And institutional flow coming in for $20. It's already at $20. So because of that, and it looks like we have some resistance here at 2083. We're kind of close to it on a 15. And then let me just take a look at the hour. Also on that hourly too, really kind of looking for a break above that 2115. It is a zone to go even higher for a longer period, right? Because that's what we're looking for. And so we have resistance right here at 2097. And then we could get to this week's high, which is 2174. But actually, we kind of had a really strong week, kind of looking to see if we do some pullback. Here on Amara, already reaching its target. And then let's look at metals, FXI. Oh, actually, FXI is China. Sorry. What was I thinking? I was thinking about some other metal there. So as we take a look at this, steel, I think, as we take a look at this above 31.28, this was our weekly high expected. So you could see that we actually got close. Now let's take a look at this because we were just talking about, what are the odds, right? The higher probability plays. So as we take a look at, let's say, Friday, you can see that actually right here is this week. So as we look at Tuesday, you can see that FXI opens up above, right, the Friday's close. And because it did, the expectation is that there's a higher probability of success, that if it does, it's going to come back and reach its weekly high, right? So what did it do? It broke up, it went sideways, came back down, but came back down and tested the Friday's close, and then just stayed for 2 days consolidating. Stayed above, though, that Friday's close. And now today is the day that it takes off, literally an entire week. So I'm not sure a lot of people would have hung on to that play, but you can actually see that play out. And now I want to take a look at BABA and see how that looked for this week as well. Tuesday, breaking above it's Friday, and you could see the white line here. This is Friday's close, okay? And then what did it do? Well, it actually gained a little bit of momentum here, and then it dropped off. And look how it retested this. It retests it, and then we broke above it. You can almost create a strategy, basically, using that expected move, and that's what a lot of people do. And it's not that bad, even if it breaks above and doesn't come and retest. Look at how it came to retest it anyway during the middle of the week, and then it pops back up and looking like a nice play. I like BABA here the best. I actually think I'm going to go for BABA. But let's take a look at the rest of the markets right now, as I just want to get some perspective here. So let's see here on a daily. SPY breaking above its last daily pivot high at 609, thereabouts, 609.04, and coming back down to retest. Now, typically speaking, the break above that level is not the best entry. The best entry is actually the retest, because you have this zone right there of support, which was once resistance. And now what you can do is actually limit the amount of capital or risk on this trade, because now you could say, you know what, I'm going to create a zone. So in this case, let's say that it is 608. Let's make it 609. So you could actually say, hey, look, if this breaks below 609, I'm out of the trade. But it is coming back to retest this last pivot high on a daily. So this actually looks really good for a continuation move, even though you can tell that it's consolidating and flat today, right? And look at how powerful the last couple weeks have been on SPY. This actually could either, and you can see where, by the way, if we take a look at this trend pivot line, you can actually see where resistance is. And we have a lot of room to run here if this continues to be bullish next week. As we take a look at the Qs, the Qs not looking as bullish, still bullish for the last couple weeks, but looks like we hit the weekly expected move high. And then now we're coming back, and look at how it's fake out zone, fake out zone. We actually got above it right here. So interested to see if we come back and test it, but you could see this area of resistance with this resistance band. See these purple bands right here? So I'm really looking for a break above 534 to continue for the Qs. Could you automate that? Yes, you can. How would you do that? Should we even attempt it? Let's do it. So how you would do this is let's actually, yeah, let's do it. Let's take a look right here. I like the 534.25 area for the Qs for a continuation to the long side to 539. So if I was going to do this, I would say, okay, let me write this down. So let's take this says 532.22, right? But I really like to put, a little bit of pad there to get momentum to cross it instead of there being a fake out, fake out, fake out. So on the cues, let's pad this a little bit more and just say 534.50. We'll give it 25 cents, okay? So let's go ahead and automate that. How would we do that? Well, we'd come over here to the trade tab on the cues. And let's say we take a 3-day out. And then now we can either take the strike, right? So which strike are we going to take? We saw that the target was around 539, but we also noticed that we could also take the strike price at the money. So if we're looking at 534.50, then the strike price that we're looking at that will be at the money when it triggers is around 534.50, right? So if we take a look at 535, you can see right now the price is 76 cents. But we don't know what the price is going to be when price actually breaks through that threshold of 534.50. So because of that, we need to program that in. So the first thing that we can do, in fact, let me get a we could do an entire OCO order, but let me just show you on this one how we would actually just automate our entry on this. And then on Monday, we can come and check it and see if we've actually entered. And at any time later, you can come back and do your stop loss and your take profit, or just put in a trail stop, by the way, right? So that actually sounds good. Why don't we do that? Why don't we put in a trail stop? So I'm going to put in, I have a buy order here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, first triggers an OCO. And now that I've done this at the advanced order form, now I can create a sell order. So I'm just going to say create an opposite order. So now basically I have this order. Let me see if it says trigger. Perfect. Okay, so now I have this order and I'm going to go into the gear icon and I'm going to come back down here. Now let me just quickly check to see if you guys can see this. Hold on for just a second. No, you can't. So let me go ahead and switch that screen. It's too bad. I really need to figure that out on here. Let me see if I can do it. Just hate that. Shoot. Let's see. Let me get out of here. Let me see. How would I do that on here? I need to go to the screen section. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay, the entire screen. So if I do the entire screen like this, and then I come back here, hopefully you guys could see this. I'm hoping. So now what's happening is we're going to go here. So as we do that, we're going to hit the cues. We're going to say mark. And then the first one is less than or equal to. The second one is greater than or equal to. You could always look right down here that says greater or equal to this, okay? So now that we can see that this says 0, 0, we have to, but you can see that it says greater here. And so that actually helps you if you're not used to those triggers. And then we said that we were going to get into the cues at 534.50.
Hey,
Okay?
hey, Sandy.
So we're going to tab out of that box and you can see that we're, yes. Oh,
sorry,
I'm not showing my screen.
Yeah, your screen's not up yet.
Oh, gosh. All right.
No worries. That's what I'm here for. All good.
Oh, I apologize. It looks like, what is the deal here? Oh, that's too bad.
Try entire screen.
It's as if it's not recognizing.
Okay.
I did. That's what I was doing, was the entire screen before. So for whatever reason, I'm having a snafu here. Let's see. So if I do an entire screen right here, and then I'm looking at Thinkorswim, you don't see Thinkorswim, do you?
Correct. I don't even see
Yeah.
the screen in the back end
I don't
here.
know why it's not switching over. Let's see if I can. Let's see here.
Sorry about this,
So
everyone. We'll get this
if
up really quick.
yeah, really sorry for whatever reasons. I'm so sorry. I have my Thinkorswim on. I don't know why the stream is not picking it up. It usually
Right.
does. I don't know what I did for that to happen. So, in any event, looks like I won't be doing that today. My apologies. I can't seem to get up my Thinkorswim, and I have no. It's a selected tab to share, and the only tab that it's giving me is the stream. It's not showing my Thinkorswim, even though I can click onto it.
Do you see the option for share a window, or right above next to tab?
I do, and my Thinkorswim is not there under share a window. It's under Chrome tabs. I think that's the issue, maybe.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, guys, looks like we're going to have to end it early today. My apologies, having technical difficulties.
Yep. We'll figure this out.
We'll see you next Friday.
Yeah.